Hey everybody. I fucked this up right off the start. Um, I literally only pressed go live. My countdown was like 6 seconds. I'm like, what am I missing? I haven't gone live.
Oh
And
no.
and then I realized I swore within the first 8 seconds. This is
Oh
just a
no.
ball of shit right off the beginning.
Should we restart? Let's pretend like that didn't happen. And then you can go back and cut the first part off.
But everyone, thank you for joining me. I'm Sean, this is Third Railify, and this is a medium smart conversation with the very lovely Megan Fox.
Thank you for having me.
Oh God, no! Really, the thank you was all mine. Getting anyone's attention really when you're a small new channel is I think the appropriate word is fucking impossible.
Yeah, well, it's pretty impossible even for the medium-sized channels. Mine's still small. I mean, really small. Sorry about the traffic noise, everyone. I had to get outside. I've been in my office all day, streaming all day. I shouldn't have booked everything for the same day. That was stupid. But whatever. My back is hurting, so I need my swing. It's the first porch stream of the season. You got it, Sean.
Oh, I am. Oh, wow! I'm just. I'm very excited about that. So you have traffic noise, and I have 4 autistic kids under the age of 5 stomping upstairs. So we have we have sounds that may happen.
Yeah, well, that's life, That's life.
Genuinely, whenever I say, oh yeah, I have 4 autistic kids, people go, oh yeah, it's because kids are stupid. Well, yes, they are that. But genuinely, four autistic kids under.
That's so hard. That it's so hard to just have 4 kids in general, but 4 kids with special needs. I have one with special needs, possibly 2, but are not that terrible. I'm talking ADD, which is hard enough.
I'm as ADHD as it gets.
Yeah, it's
tough.
Like
you know, like this is like a literal ADHD medication in a can.
That's true.
Like some people take like a Red Bull or a Monster Energy drink, and they're all like, "Oh my god, I'm so excited! I'm bouncing off all the walls." I drink a Monster Energy drink. I'm like, God, I could probably sit down and concentrate, but I could have a nap.
It's so weird. It's so weird. And caffeine never affected me ever as a kid or a young adult. And I would see people like, oh, I got to drink coffee so I can stay up and study. And I'd be like, it does nothing. I can drink 3 espressos and go right to sleep. But I still drink it. Like I'm a caffeine addict. And now I understand why, because it slows my brain down and it allows me to focus on things. And it's because I have ADHD or ADD. I have attention deficit disorder, the non-hyperactive kind. I have the inattentive disorder. And so does one of my kids, and the other one possibly. So, look, dealing with kids that have special needs, and all kids have special needs, let's be totally honest, everyone is an individual, and but it's very difficult just to have multiple children. I know when we had our 3rd child, it was like that comedian said, like someone asked him, what's it like to have 4 kids? And he says, imagine you're drowning and then someone hands you a baby. That's exactly how it feels anyway, just with your average normal kids. And so then you add special needs on top of it, and it's very difficult. So I'm sorry that it took me so long to get to your stream, and I don't usually have such stuff going on, but my mom got really sick and I was traveling, and I don't normally.
I know we were I was gonna try and have this set up quite a while ago, and then I was you had I think you had instructed me to reach out to you, or no, we had it set up, and then you needed to postpone. You went on a holiday or something, and
I had to run off to see my mom because she was maybe dying in the hospital. It was very scary.
Then I was like, I'm just gonna leave her alone for a little bit. And then you're like, hey everybody, everything's great. I'm like, it might be
she had a miraculous recovery. I mean, look, it's not often that a 77-year-old person gets septic in a hospital and makes it, but that's what happened. And she did. And in fact, I talked to her a couple days ago. I talked to her on Mother's Day, obviously. She looks amazing. She looks absolutely amazing. She's doing so well. So thank you to all of you who prayed for my mom. I appreciate it. Those of you who sent me so many nice messages, and I just appreciate it. She's doing really well. So we're thrilled.
That is amazing. Sometimes it happens. Like, you expect the worst, and then just for some reason it doesn't happen, and you're like, oh wow, it's gone better than expected. And just so that made me very happy. I was like, okay, good.
Yeah,
This
it
is
was good news. It was really good news. I mean, look, I think the dog ran off. Oh no, here he comes. I'm trying to keep an eye on the dog. There he
oh, of
is.
course.
This is Archie Ruckus. Say hello, Archie.
He's a good-looking
Oh,
pup.
good Lord. He's a good-looking dog, but he's always in trouble. Always. And he's
Mhm.
like having a fourth kid. He has all these allergies that I can't figure out. I mean, multiple allergies, probably food allergies, seasonal allergies. He's always scratching. Look at him. This is what he does. He chases his tail. They talk about dogs doing this. This dog actually does it. Chases
Actually
his
does it.
tail. Yeah, it's
Is
bizarre.
is he a clever dog? Because sometimes the most beautifulest dogs, well, they're only beautiful.
You know, it's interesting. He is clever sometimes. And here's the thing. He knows exactly what we want him to do. But he's so darn stubborn. He just refuses. So he's disobedient.
Oh,
He's very clever
define
though.
it to the bitter end.
Yeah, very disobedient. My husband has had it up to here with him. He's really this dog is treading on thin ice.
Oh dear.
It was my fault. I named him Archie Ruckus. I shouldn't have named him Ruckus if I didn't want that to happen.
Living up to the namesake,
Yeah.
I guess. So this morning when you were with Legal Vices,
Mm-hmm.
and for that brief moment when we, as if I was a part of the conversation, everyone.
You were a part of the conversation.
Well, no, when
you were
I
there?
When I was, because I stalked you today. It made me feel less nervous because I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna fangirl. It's gonna be ridiculous. And then, my phone had a notification that said you were on with Jeff, and I was like, okay, well, that's maybe I'll watch a little of this, and it sort of take some of the nerves away, right? And then I like watching Jeff. I like
And
watching
then
your
we
content.
bored you to death with all of our old people complaints.
Well, I mean,
that was the stream.
I'm
Me
getting
and
up
Jeff
there too. Don't let
complaining
this
about our neck pain.
don't let this mustache fool you. You're not that older than I am. This mustache is brand new, and so far all of my viewers hate it.
I think it's a good-looking mustache. That's coming back. What about the Subway Marine in New York City? He's got quite the stash going on.
I know.
He looks like a 1970s cop.
He's got $2.3 million is what Daniel Penny's.
It's already up to 2.3.
2.3.
Holy crap! The last time I reported it, it was 1.9. Wow, I'm thrilled for him. I'm thrilled, and that DA in New York needs to drop the charges. It's insane what they are doing to him. Insane.
Alvin Bragg, that piece of shit. He's not fucking dropping nothing.
Oh God, and I'm sorry, but Daniel Penny, just one look at him, that strong jaw, those golden curls like Gabriel the angel. I mean, this guy is everything you want a man to be. He's the one who stands up for you. He's the one that.
Oh yeah.
He's the guy that everyone says they want, and you're going to put him in jail.
When I grow up, I want to be Daniel Penny. Even though I am goddamn near twice his age.
And the women all want to have his babies. Look at the curls on him. Every woman who looks at him is thinking, God, the babies he would make.
Yeah. So, if I'm not, the Trayvon Martin case, that was 10 years ago. That George Zimmerman needed $1.7 million.
That's how much his defense was?
$1.7 million.
Oh, and that was 10 years ago. So maybe he still needs more. He's still in trouble.
And it was much less complicated political stuff.
True.
10 years ago. So
true. I mean, it was just starting to get really bad, and now.
So I mean, he might need $2.5 million at this point. Like we just don't know how crazy Alvin Bragg's gonna be, but But yeah, that's
This is true.
that's insane. What on my Saturday night show that I do with my I guess co-host, we we're following it. Like, so I had the Give Set and Go pulled up, and then every like minute I would refresh it and just see the huge number jump. Like every minute it would and I did it. I don't even know how long I did this. It would just keep going up, and it was the most amazing thing. And then reading the comments about, but everyone's just like, this is the person that we need. If there was more of him, maybe New York wouldn't suck. And I was just like, that's exactly true.
That is true.
Like, one thing that blows my mind, and I know, and so right now I'm a stay-at-home dad. That's what I do. Stay-at-home dad of 4 autistic kids. Hardest job I've ever had. And this here is my welding helmet because I'm a welder by trade. So I've done some very, very hard work. But by education, I went to police school. So I'm a bit of a mixed bag. And I have always been had the mentality of that when there's danger, you run to the danger. If someone needs help, you go help them. If someone's being harmed, that's what you do. And so it baffles me that we don't really do that much of that anymore. And then when we see what Daniel Penny being railroaded the way he is, it's fucking no wonder.
Well, sure. This entire society has become one where people choose not to act, where good men will do nothing, because what else is there left to do? I'm encouraging men that I know who are good, upstanding citizens that it's not worth it. It isn't worth it to put yourself in between your neighbor and some lunatic on a train, because you got to know where you are. Maybe if you're in Texas, it'll be okay. But if you're in New York, you're in Chicago, brother, sit down, because it's not worth your family, your future, your livelihood. No, in a sane society. Oh, I'm sorry about the traffic. God, I hope it's not really bothersome.
It's fine.
It's after school, so people are. I live in the country, but there's a big road, one of the only country roads that people go through. So at this time, it starts to get nuts. We should just be lucky there are no motorcycles coming by, because that really gets offensive. When the motorcycles come, I'll just muting myself. But yeah, it's not worth it if you are in one of these areas run by Democrats who want to release criminals and always side with criminals. You, upstanding citizen, you will not be respected. Your rights will not be respected. You must bow to the criminal. And if you don't, they will destroy your life. So don't do it, brother. Sit down.
Yeah. And the thing that I don't know, it really causes this schism in my brain, because I mean, was it last year or maybe 2 years ago, just recent, likely forgotten by most people, was there was an actual rape taking place on the subway in Philadelphia, whereas the woman was laying on her back and the guy was on top of her, raping her, and so this woman's screaming, help me, help me, help me, and everyone literally had their phones out in a circle around them, being well, I'm not really going to get involved. And I can't get my head around that at all.
It happened on the Blue Line in Chicago too. On the way to O'Hare, a woman was raped on the train and no one did anything.
That's insane to me. It is.
This is what they have created. This is the society in which that they want. They want us to be powerless and to do anything in the face of evil. I feel like that's the goal. And here we are. Because if you choose to do something about it, you will be held responsible. You will be the one treated as a criminal.
Isn't that anarcho-tyranny? Isn't that the name of that? I'm only recently learning the names of this. I'm only recently red-pilled. That the pandemic was, well, some people take the red pill. I took a massive red suppository,
jammed it right up there.
Right up there. It was
That would do
God.
it. If you hadn't been before, COVID lockdowns and tyranny would do it. I absolutely agree. I agree with you. Killdozer was right. People who are not familiar,
Yes, he was.
Killdozer was right. Like, there's a point you can only push a man so far, a person so far before they snap. Our country is founded on men like that. They were pushed as far as they could be pushed, and then things happen. My question is, how much further can we be pushed in this society? I want to know how much further. And I feel like this Daniel Penny thing is a good indication that a lot of people are saying no further than this. This is, you cannot hold someone responsible for manslaughter when he was trying. His intention matters. Intention matters. What they're charging him with is reckless manslaughter. So that his intention, that he recklessly somehow caused the death of this man, I say no. I say ridiculous. I saw the video. He put him in a rear naked choke, which is a used submission choke all the time. My daughter does it. My daughter can choke you out. She's a jujitsu expert. And they're taught how to do this. And then he put him in a recovery position. And that was the most peaceful thing he could have done to stop him from harassing and threatening other passengers. He should be given a medal and the keys to the city. This is a man who is very clearly not guilty of intentional manslaughter. Ridiculous. And the fact that they're not even that they're charging him with second-degree manslaughter in the first place, they know they don't have a case. They're just hoping that they will get some jurors who will want to, send a message because they're a bunch of racists. This is not okay. What's happening here is not okay. And I'm hoping that the legal fundraising is an indication that people have had enough of this garbage.
Yeah. One of the stories, or I think it was in the Daily Mail. They wrote a story about how one of the people coming on the train, they're like, "Wow, that's quite a chokehold you got there. You better let up, or you're gonna kill him." And then it was, I think Daniel Penny was like, "No, I'm not even like squeezing him. I'm like, I haven't been squeezing him for like a while. I'm just laying down here with him." And so it's like, oh, so that chokehold was like the pressure had long since stopped.
Right.
Well, even before he got up. And then
he was still breathing when the men were putting him in the recovery position. One of the things that they ruled it a homicide really bothers me too, because did they do a full panel on this man? What was he on? What substances was he on? What is his medical background? What exactly was the cause of death? All we got was homicide. We didn't get actual cause of death that I know of. We didn't see it yet. I just can't believe they're putting this man on trial. If you've ever been on the subway, whether in New York City or Chicago or DC, anywhere, you are going to run into these people, and it is frightening. It is frightening. They run the train. When I was living in Chicago, I rode the Red Line every day, back and forth to my apartment I lived off of North Sheridan in Rogers Park, which is a really sketchy part of town, but that's where it was affordable for me to live. And so I had to be really careful on the L because I didn't want to be coming home after dark. There were a lot of bums in the area, a lot of drug use, a lot of scary stuff. And every day on the train, this man would come through all the cars. They go between the cars, and he would basically scream at people for money, and it was terrifying, and no one ever stopped him. And one day this man followed me off the train and followed me all the way back to my apartment. I didn't know, and there was nothing I could have done about it. Thank God I was far enough ahead of him that I was able to get into my house and lock my doors. But these things happen. If you live in an urban center, you know these people, and you know that they can go off on a moment's notice. There is no telling what will set them off. There's no indication of when it's going to be benign or when it's going to be deadly. This is not okay that good people are being terrorized by the mentally ill, homeless, wandering urban cities. And my message to all of you living in an urban area, get out. Get out now. They're not getting any better. The cities are actually going to get worse. The situation is going to get worse. You are not safe. I moved far away from Chicago. Yes, I'm still in New York State, but I'm as far away from the city as I could possibly be. I am 7 hours from New York City. I am in rural New York. I don't love this state. I would rather be in rural Tennessee, but rural America is so much different than the urban centers, you guys. Get out while you can.
Did you go? I'm just trying to think of what we're 7 hours. So you're like, so you've been like, are you northwest then in that
Yeah,
direction?
Western New York. So Buffalo's not far, Rochester. And in fact, I had this thing to go to in Rochester that I refused to go to because the night before I was supposed to go to the Lilac Festival because my daughter was doing a thing there. And the night before we were supposed to go, there was 300 youths who took over the festival, ignored police, started riots and fights. Same thing that you're seeing in downtown Chicago on Michigan Avenue. And I was like, you know what? I didn't move away from Chicago to go back to this shit. I'm not going to that. I'm not going anywhere where there's going to be mobs of undisciplined, unsupervised kids causing havoc and not being stopped because we have district attorneys who will not prosecute criminals and will only prosecute people who defend themselves from the criminals. Absolutely not. I stay rural. I stay in my country farmland in my little swing on my porch. That's where I will be.
That's the best thing. So I have been fortunate enough to not take too many subways. The only subways I've been on has been the TTC in Toronto, and it scared me. I'm not gonna lie. It's uncomfortable. I don't like being down there. It's yucky, and the people scare me. I don't know. The thought of being pushed off. It's a crazy thought where you could be like, oh my god, someone could shove me off this. Like, I mean, that wouldn't really happen.
In Chicago, there was a woman who would stand on the train platform and belt herself to a pole until the train came. She would put a belt around the pole and around her waist until the train came because she was so scared and terrified of being pushed off onto the tracks. And it's no joke. That's what happens. Like, these crazy people, the 1 minute they're asking you for change, and the next minute they're shoving you onto a tracks in front of a train.
That is unbelievable. God, I can't get that.
And these are real things, real threats that people who live in urban centers deal with every day. And it's not just, the white people who are being, who are scared. That woman was a black woman who belted herself to the pole.
No, she probably literally knew better.
Yeah, I mean, they've seen things, okay? You know that she's seen things. These people have seen, anybody who's lived in a city, we've seen things that would, and the reason I moved out of Rogers Park, I had called every Saturday night. I would sit in my window and call the cops because there would be crime happening on the street right in front of me. And one time I had to ID some guys who broke my neighbor's van windshield with some bricks. And the police came to my door and they shined a light in their faces and asked me if those were the guys who did it. I said, yes, they were. And then after they took them away, the cop comes back and he says to me, what are you doing here? And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, no, why do you live here? And I said, oh, well, the rent, I have a 2-bedroom apartment for $850 a month. And I have a male roommate who's, strong, and I feel safe with him. And I have a scary dog. And he goes, ma'am, you got to get out of here. I just pulled a guy off. He goes, what train station do you get off? I said, Morse Avenue. He goes, oh, well, I just pulled a guy off a girl underneath the Morse tracks right there. He had beat her so badly, he caved her half her face in.
Oh my God.
He said, this neighborhood is not for you. You need to leave. And I was like, okay, that was all I needed to hear. I packed up my shit and I got out. And
it sounds like Fallon Fox.
It was not good. Yep, it was not good. And you don't even hear about those. So the violence in Chicago, and that was back in the late 90s, the violence in Chicago is so bad you don't even hear those stories. They just get lost because there's so many of them and so many more horrific things happening. They just pile up and you can only report on so many. Look, Get out of the cities. Get out. They're not going to get better. You're not going to fix them. It's not going to become a utopia. It's going to crumble. It's all going to be Detroit. Get out.
Oh God. So on Rumble, SDN, which is one of my first organic super chats, which is very nice. So that's the SDN. Thank you. Megan is for you. So also thank you. They say, "Hey Megan, do you have any words for the white Christian parents who decided not to expose themselves to the same venom at school board meetings as compared to the Muslims who have victim points?" I don't.
I don't know if I understand that question.
I don't fully understand. I've read it a couple times. I'm sorry,
Wait, read
SDN.
it again. Read it
I'm kind
again.
of retarded. So, do you have any words for the white Christian parents who decided not to expose themselves to the same venom at school board meetings as compared to the Muslims who have victim points?
Victim points. Well, I think I understand. I sort of understand where you're going. I will say this. Anyone who chooses to keep their kids in school, but does not stand up for the right of those children not to be sexualized, not to be groomed, not to be sexually abused mentally, is not doing their job as a parent. If you refuse to stand up, if you refuse because you're afraid to be called a bigot, you're afraid to be called a religious nut, you're afraid for whatever reason, you're not doing your job as a parent. So unless you plan to take your child out and homeschool, you ought to be at those meetings supporting any parent who is, whether they be Muslims, Christians, Hindus, atheists, doesn't matter. You ought to be there with them. Now, the Muslims actually are in a great position because I don't think they get, I would disagree with your opinion that they get victim points. I actually think the Muslims are in a great position to help us with this fight because they are somewhat untouchable. The media has set Muslim people up in this on this pedestal for a very long time where you're not allowed to criticize Muslims. You're not allowed to criticize them because, you know, Islam, we are told, is very peaceful. And I agree that there are billions of peaceful Muslims, especially here in America, many, many Muslims, millions of them who are who love this country and who love their children. And I'm friends with a lot of them in Dearborn. And I think that they have done what they have done is show us that they're a natural ally in the fight against the wokeism in the schools. And we should at all times join arms with them and link arms with that community and bring our power together and fight back against this woke ideology and the gender cult taking over the schools. Muslims are a great ally right now in this fight. And I've learned a lot by just having some Muslim friends throughout, finding them throughout this this thing going on at schools. I've learned a lot, and one of the things I've learned is that the media really did divide us after 9/11. The media played a big role in dividing white Christian people from Muslims, who we have so much more in common with than we do with the secular woke left. We have so much more in common with our Muslim neighbors, and we need to stop being afraid of them because truly, what have they proven over the last 20 years? That they're law-abiding citizens for the most part, just like anybody else. There's no proof of anything that Dearborn, Michigan harmed anyone, that anyone in Dearborn has harmed anyone by having by having a close community. And in fact, through the people I've gotten to meet there, they've contributed a lot to their community, including through charity and through, being good neighbors. And I love the fact that Moms for Liberty is teaming up with Michigan Muslims in Dearborn and those Dearborn dads. I have nothing but respect for them. And I think they're a great ally in the fight forward. So what do I have to say to white Christians who won't stand up? You're cowards. Stand up. It's time.
You know what's really really weird is when I hear there's a school shooting or a terrorist attack or whatever, I no longer think, oh God, it's the Muslims again.
Me either. I think it's the transes.
And it's the weirdest thing how my brain is just sort of kind of like done that. Maybe I don't know. Perhaps it's the media that's
the media. Look,
messed me up, but I don't think
the media gave you a boogeyman, right? Back in after 9/11, they gave you somebody to hate, they gave you somebody to fear, and we all did what we're supposed to do, what they're created to do. We believed them, and we went with that narrative. And yes, it's true that Islam has problems with terrorism, but the truth is, I can't tell you who ISIS is. And would I be surprised if it turned out that ISIS was a creation of the CIA? No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't.
Oh God. I
I,
mean, on the surface, that sounds like you're crazy.
I
But
know.
on the second hand, let me get my tinfoil because
It
like
could be.
like
Look, I'm just saying.
the only reason why I don't actually have a tinfoil hat on all the time is because my kids love chicken nuggets so much. I go through a lot of tinfoil. Like it's they'll be like, Dad, we need your hat. Like like there's yeah, it's just so crazy. There was a little video put on Twitter the other day, and it's kind of the it's kind of like this weird. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, and I don't necessarily mean like Islam is the enemy, although Sharia law isn't exactly wonderful.
No, but I'll tell you what. I'd rather live under Sharia law
Then there was
than
trans.
the rainbow cult.
I know
I,
this, and this is where
and
that's
for me to say that, I will wear the I'm telling you, I will put the hijab on if it will mean that I never have to hear from those people again.
it's the weirdest thing. You and I, it's like looking in a funhouse mirror. Like it's like you get a mustache and I get to be pretty. It's just the weirdest thing. And it's so this video was a school in Europe somewhere. And the rainbow people had at a high school, the rainbow people had like a courtyard or whatever. They had pride flags and picnic tables all colored up and it was like their little space. And they fled. They ran away from their safe space because a bunch of Muslim kids walked in and were shouting Allahu Akbar.
I mean,
I was like, that's the solution. They've given us the solution.
well, that's the thing is that
Belgium. Thank you, Lucy. It was Belgium.
Muslims have been very protected from any criticism, right? You're
They have a
not
chevron
allowed.
on the flag. The brown chevron is them.
Yeah. Yeah. Do they? Do they
Yes.
have one?
Yeah,
That's
so the
hilarious.
black people. Black is it's for black, and the brown is it's for brown. It's skin color.
Hang on a second. I have to go yell for my dog because I think he disappeared into the woods. I gotta go. Hold on.
Oh, ruckus. Well, SDN. Hopefully, we have managed to give you a little bit what you're looking for. I don't exactly know what you mean, but I don't want to disappoint you. Again, thank you for the $5. That's that's really great. I mean, I appreciate you. Yeah, so Lucy, you are right. It was Ghent, Belgium. That was a I don't know, I thought that was a great little video. Anyone here on Rumble or YouTube that's not subscribed, please by all means do that because YouTube unsubscribes all the time. So if you are, maybe double check. I don't know. For me, please. And yeah, hopefully next we can discuss some of this other stuff because originally I had a point and somehow we went off the rails, which is, ADHD to this conversation.
What a bad dog.
Oh dear. Did he get far?
I don't know. I didn't even see him while I was out there. I don't know where he was. But he came back. But who knows?
Okay.
Where did you go? Yeah, you look like you got into trouble.
So originally, before the ADHD got to us, because well, I mean, that's what happens to me. I was saying so this morning with you and Jeff.
Oh yeah, we're back. That was a while ago,
right? And
God, you stink like skunk. Did you get skunked? What were you doing? Oh my God, he's got animal hair in his mouth.
Oh
Sean.
goodness,
he's got animal hair and he stinks. Great.
Uh-oh.
Look at this. Can we identify the hair? Let's see. What is this?
Looks like leftist. Leftist hair.
He left his hair.
Hasn't been washed, need
It
of
does. It
conditioner.
looks like a dread. It looks
It
like a
looks like
dread.
s-
Can you
oh
see
my
it?
god!
It
Oh
looks
my
like a
god!
dread.
There's someone from Portland around your house.
All right. So you were watching me with Jeff, and let's see if we can
Oh.
get to this.
All right. So, I had said it's the simulation,
Oh yeah.
right? Okay. About the world and the simulation and all that stuff and the reason why is I came across this story a day or so ago, and it baffled my mind. So the headline is, did aliens abduct a US Air Force pilot over the North Sea? Serviceman took off from RAF base in 1970 and disappeared 12 minutes later. But when his plane was found, the cockpit canopy was closed and there was no body. So
That's
they
weird.
found the plane like this in the water.
Huh.
So it was almost like we're in a simulation, a game of The Sims, and somebody had a plane. It took off, and then they're like, whatever, and they just deleted the pilot.
Right. Because wouldn't if he had ejected,
If he
So
ejected, the canopy would be open. If he didn't eject, his body would be
this
in
would
there.
be in there.
And I just thought about it. I'm like, God, this has got to be like the game of the Sims. And the friend I was talking to, they're like, yeah, but okay, if this was the Sims, right? Nobody would be that cruel to like just yeet a pilot out of their plane and let a plane crash. And I was like, okay, but what happens in The Sims is people will build a house, they'll build a pool, they'll make their sim character go into the pool, and they'll be swimming, and then they'll fucking delete the ladder, and then they'll let their sim character drown to death.
Okay, that's awful.
And I'm like, if people do that, then why wouldn't you just
mean things? Don't do mean things to Sims. I don't care if they're not real. Please
So
don't
I
do
just-
mean things. It's
so-
weird.
So that's what I was thinking when I was
That
like,
is really strange.
I was like,
So wait,
it
did
is the
anybody
sim-
see him actually take off in the plane? Could this have been a remote controlled plane? Do we know who the pilot was? Because maybe it was a remote controlled plane. Maybe there was no pilot.
I
No,
mean,
yeah, his name was Captain Bill Schaefer.
yeah.
Weird.
It's one of those weird things. And then you have like the do you remember the was it Hawaii a couple months ago when like the green, like it was like a laser shining down, and then people were like, oh my god, that's the code of the Matrix, the simulation really is breaking down.
No, I didn't see that happen. I didn't see what that was, but my family lives in Hawaii, so they probably did. I should
yeah,
ask
it's
them.
probably space lasers, but it was just like that. Maybe that's the Matrix coming through.
I don't know, but there's too much of weirdness going on to make me think that any of this is really real. Something's not right. Something's off. And I can't tell you what it is, but I like to blame CERN because they turned it on and now everybody doesn't know what gender they are. And
it's either they were crashing particles together or they shot a goddamn gorilla. It was either Harambe or the particles. One of the two happened, and it's all gone wrong after that.
It's all gone wrong, and I can't explain it, but it's all gone wrong. And I do think that it's coming to a crashing halt. And whether that's going to be, I mean, I think get used to your, be grateful for your easy life right now, because what's coming next is not going to be easy. I mean, in this cycle of things, this can't continue, I don't think. Am I wrong? But I have this feeling that we're about to get a reset. They talk about the Great Reset. I don't think it's going to happen in the way that the globalists term it, but I think that the Great Reset, whether it's going to come through an EMP that we get hit with from China or the sun, right? The solar flares, which could.
Schwab's talking about a digital pandemic, right?
Oh Lord, what's a digital pandemic?
Well,
I don't know what that is.
Imagine a real pandemic, but there was no internet or electricity.
Well, I do think that that's coming. I do think that that's what's coming. I mean, that's what my intuition tells me without reading anything else. I think that that's what comes next. And I think that if I were the creator of this game, let's say, I will have noticed that I have progressed society as much as I can, and it's time for the deconstruction. It's time for war, famine, and hardship, right? Because what
Hmm.
we have is fat and lazy times. And that's no fun. That's not what the creator of the game wants to play. If you're playing Sims, right?
Uh-huh.
You don't keep your players fat and happy. At some point you give them a challenge to
Yeah,
do.
put them in the pool and take away their
Yeah,
ladder.
you put them in the pool and you take away the ladder. If you were in control, let's say you are God or whatever your concept of God is, you're God. You can do anything. You can experience this thing that you made through humanity. Do you just have parties and feasting and dancing girls forever? Or do you slay dragons? Do you make bombs? Do
I don't
you
know. I think if I was God, I'd be like, oh yeah, the piddly humans. That was Jesus. This
Oh,
is
here
what
comes a
this is.
motorcycle. Here it comes. Get ready to hold on to your ears. I can hear him coming from like a mile away. Oh Lord. Sorry.
I wasn't
Sorry.
even that bad.
That wasn't that bad.
That was kind of. So yeah, if I was God, I'd be like, oh, the Earth, people, humanity. This is why we don't create after 3 a.m.
I don't know. I think humans are pretty great. I mean, people are pretty great. I think that we are a reflection of the creator, and I think that when people are using their creative ingenuity to their best ability, we get amazing things. The problem is, I think that we're all too bored and no one's really using those things anymore. Instead of actually creating your own miniature town, which people used to do, make miniatures and make entire recreations of towns and Civil War battles and in their basements, they would make these tiny little towns. Now our kids are making them in Minecraft at the touch of a button, but it's not real. It's not real. It's not real creativity. They didn't actually make anything. They just touched a couple buttons.
That
It's
that
not the
is why we're a
same.
simulation. We are in some alien child's computer.
It's weird. People don't make anything anymore, and the ones who do, I think, are the happiest among us. We like to watch people make things, but we don't really make things anymore. And
Mhm.
I think I was just doing crafts. Oh, traffic, sorry. I was just doing crafts with my kids on Mother's Day. We made these pretty hair flowers. And we used to do stuff like that all the time when they were little. And the girls were telling me, they were like, I have teenagers now. I have 2 girls and a boy. He's 8. The boy was doing other things. And the girls and I were making these hair clips. And they started talking about how we used to do crafts all the time because I was a homeschooler, and we did crafts constantly. That was our thing that we would make. I made clothes, I made cloth diapers, I made all kinds of stuff, and we would make stuff together. And these days, we just don't make anything anymore. I mean, they all started going to school, and then there wasn't a reason to do it. And now I find we sat down and did this craft, and my daughter was like, we need to do this more often. And she's right. You can't stop building and creating things as a human being. That's literally what we do. That's
Mhm.
what no matter what it is. I mean, everybody has their thing, right? Like, I don't know, what do you do? You must create something.
Um,
Well, you're a welder.
I'm a welder.
You're a welder.
I'm
You
a,
create stuff out of
I
metal, which is amazing, right?
I
That's so cool.
oh, I have some metal artworks upstairs. You know that one of the first things I welded when oh Jesus Christ on a practice piece of metal. This is the first thing I welded, and it was for my
Oh,
wife.
oh, that's so cute.
Yeah,
That's awesome. How
yeah.
did you meet your wife?
At a hardware store.
Shut up. You did not.
I literally told you that when I DM'd you
Did
the first
not
time. I
meet
was
your
like,
wife.
also,
That's
I
a
met my
lie.
wife at a hardware store at Rona.
See, I told you people it's possible. What was she doing? Was she in the paint swatches aisle?
No, it's so I was working there, so the story isn't as true to as what you want, and then she basically she was there for a job, and then that was that, and then so
See,
we
that's what I
basically
said. I
we
said women
basically
work at all.
bonded.
I said
We
women work
bonded
at these
over
stores.
yeah yeah. So but yeah, we met at a hardware store
That's hilarious.
at Rona, and we got to know each other. You know, I was running the electrical department because I wanted to be an electrician, um, and she was running seasonal, and our departments were side by side, and I was like, well, there's a crazy redhead I'd like to get to know, and that was that.
Do you think that it's still possible for men and women to meet one another and fall in love in this weird culture that we have now?
Um, it's it's possible, although I'm a I don't know, I'm a terrible person to ask a question because I love the idea of love. I love the idea of like falling in love, but nowadays kids would probably think, "Oh wow, look at that guy, gay." But
What? Why
well,
would anyone think that?
well, because you know they're y- just the idea of like meeting somebody. I don't know, bumping into them while getting a pizza. I mean, yeah, that can happen. And but kids now are like, yeah, but you didn't swipe to get there, so therefore it doesn't count. It's I don't know.
Oh,
It's the
that's nuts. No, my kids are not like this. So I think that there is going to be a revolt against this type of dating, but against the apps and stuff.
you can begin to see it a little bit,
My
a
daughter
little bit.
is 17. She's dating. She's a dating age.
Oh dear, I'm sorry.
She hates, well, she has a nice boyfriend right now, who I like. So, it's fine. But
That's
she
fine.
she doesn't no, it's good. It's all normal. She should. She's 17, but she's going to be dating. Um she doesn't like the texting. So they all do this thing where they text one another instead of talk to one another. And she doesn't like that. That's not she just wants to meet someone, excuse me. I was about to sneeze. Okay, it went away. She wanted to, she said to me, and this was totally I didn't have this conversation with her. People will think that I did, but I didn't. She came to me one day and she goes, "Man, I just want somebody to ask me out to coffee or, to go to a bookstore. I just want to meet someone and have them want to hang out with me for a little while and talk to me and then maybe not see them again or maybe do see them again. But I don't want someone to text me. I want to just meet someone. Do people do that anymore?" I was like, "I'm sorry, honey. I don't think they do, but keep dreaming. Um,
Yeah,
the kid that she's seeing now, they were friends for a really long time and hanging out all the time together before they started dating. And um, she said today the kids are just like, they don't become friends first or they don't look for friendships. They just, I like you, now we're going steady or now we're going out. We're
that's
just
weird.
in a relationship. There's no build up, there's no get to know you stage. It's all
How do you fetter out the red
smash.
flags?
They don't. They just smash. That's
Oh
it.
God, that's a rape allegation, just like a lips distance away. Oh my God, I can't even with
Look, the
that.
kids, if you want to be really depressed, my middle daughter is in eighth grade or sorry, seventh grade. She's in seventh, going into eighth. And we were having some conversation the other day, and she said something about these two who were dating, and it came around to the topic of sex. And she's like, "Oh, yeah, they're all having sex." I'm like, "What? Wait a minute. They're seventh graders. What do you mean they're having sex? They're 13, they're 12 and 13." She's like, "Oh, yeah, they all are." I'm like,
Oh my God.
"Yeah." Well, now maybe they're just saying that they are. Let's just hope that they're making it up because
Seventh grade?
but this is what the sexualization in schools does to kids. I'm not saying that yes, there've always been a few fast seventh graders, right? Even when I was in seventh grade, eighth grade, I remember there was like one girl who got pregnant by freshman year. But that was the exception. That was not the rule. And what I'm seeing now is the rule, not the exception are my kids. The exception are the kids who are like, "I'm not ready for that. I'm
Jesus.
too young."
that's not something I want. And I feel almost like what is the future bring for my girls who behave their age and who are not interested because, I've talked to them so much about all the things that can go wrong and why it's better to be an adult before you make these decisions, and they seem to understand me. But all these other kids are just like they're on the pill. They're 12.
You know
12.
what? I am hopeful, and maybe it's because I'm stupid, but I am hopeful that so for your girls and young people like your girls, that being what you and I consider normal, that's very punk rock nowadays, and hopefully that falls back into fashion. So I'm sure you've seen clips of that Whatever podcast. God, that is
Oh
fuck. I
god.
hate things that are simultaneously
I hate that show.
entertaining, but also numbs your
I
brain.
hate that show. And the thing is that guy who does the show, I think his name is Brian. Um, when did you see the episode that he had with that girl who called herself a feminist? I think they called her She Guevara or She Guevara. Yeah, She Guevara. She had
I
the
may have
beret
seen a
on.
clip.
Yeah, and it went around. It went pretty viral of her saying, "You invite these women who are uneducated, and you put them on here for your listeners to laugh at. That's what you don't invite anybody here who has an education who could push back against any of this." And what was interesting is I watched several hours of that show. He was so interested in that conversation. Oh Lord, quiet! I'm doing a podcast here. He was so interested in her, he ignored everyone else on the panel because here was finally someone he could have a conversation with about something other than, breast size. And
Yeah.
I felt almost sorry for him at that moment. Like, yeah, you happy with what you did with your life here? Because you could be having conversations that mean something. And instead, you're having a bunch of bimbos rate their bodies for laughs. And I'm sorry, but it's not funny anymore. It's not entertaining. It's just the downfall of our society. It
And so
sucks.
I bring this up because the like God, I don't know how many clips now. It's these young girls who are entering college or the beginning of college or leaving high school or whatever, and they're being like, "Oh yeah, I've had 1,000 men," and you're like, "Wait a minute, how is that even possible?"
And they all have OnlyFans pages. And I'm like, holy shit, on that same podcast, the same one where the girl was pushing back on him, she was a former adult sex worker, or actually child sex worker. She had been doing it since she was a minor, and now she's anti-porn and anti-sex work. And she, on that same one of the girls was talking about how she had been pretty well off before her OnlyFans started, but decided to do it as a side hustle, like women used to do Tupperware. Now all of a sudden OnlyFans is like in the new MLM side hustle where
Or
you open.
Fantasia parties or whatever.
Yeah, it's so crazy. So this girl says she's from Scottsdale. She's like, well, everybody in Scottsdale does it. I'm like, is this true? Like, this is your average suburban mom or wife also has an OnlyFans page. That is sick. That is sad. There's something wrong with this. And it's not the women's fault. It's the fact that there's a demand for this is really
there,
at
though?
issue. There must be, because how else are they making the money on OnlyFans? And how can
When you go through the oh God, there was a fucking article um not that long ago that I read where it's like the majority of it's almost like YouTubers, and I'll fall into this category. The majority end up doing nothing worth any success whatsoever. And
Yeah, I
then
think it was the
there's
average pay on OnlyFans is $176 a month.
and then you have the next tier up that is reasonable. You could probably live on that, or you could get like I don't know a job at a store or something and be the same. And then you get that micro sliver of a percent where it's like, oh yeah, I get $1 million because I for some reason I got in on the ground floor, and people like that I wear cat ears, like, and so it's like all of these girls, all of these moms or whoever, they're like, yeah, I'm showing my butthole for literally pennies, It's like
The way
you
they
have
make it
sold your
sound, they all
self-respect.
say that they're making a ton of money, and I'm not sure I believe all that, but I will say there's obviously a demand for it. Um, whether that demand will last or not, that's the question. And then these girls end up, it's like the same thing. They get talked into doing porn, right? And then you're only good for 3 months, and then the companies don't want you anymore because you're used up. And so you made your 10,000, and that's all you're ever going to make unless you do more and more violent scenes. And it's really sad. I just wish we could get to a place where our culture doesn't value women selling themselves, and we're just not there. We're in a place where the only value women have lately is to sell themselves. And that's really unfortunate. And no wonder girls who are hitting puberty hate their bodies and want to cut off their breasts, because if you've ever watched porn, you would know that it would terrify a child, right? It would terrify a child to think that's what's expected of me. That's what I'm supposed to do. That's what if I stay a girl, I'm supposed to act like porn stars. And that's what our young people are believing. That's what they've grown up on. That's what they believe. And that's terrifying.
I mean, that's like there's also that social contagion. That's like TikTok is a weird mind centipede thing that goes in, and it can make a person do weird things and change their
It's
thinking.
true. You know what's funny about TikTok? I don't allow my kids to have it because they don't have social media unless it's very heavily monitored. And TikTok is a spy app, and so we've had that conversation. They don't have it. Well,
It literally is exactly that.
it literally is. And so my middle daughter, she's the only 7th grader in her entire class who doesn't have social media and TikTok. She has no social media at all. And she has come to me and said, "Thank you, Mom, for not letting me have this stuff." Because what I'm seeing is that they all act the same. They're all uninteresting. They look like they have tics because they're doing these TikTok dances all the time, and they look like they've developed some sort of tic. TikTok actually does cause tics, which I think is interesting that it's called TikTok, because it literally induces tics
but
in children.
but other things as well, and it's crazy. So it's like, I mean, it's not just like the kids are like, doing ticks, but then they start to like, and I've seen this in real life. It's almost like they begin to start moving and speaking like anime characters. And you're like,
Mm-hmm.
why are you doing that? Or all of a sudden they start shouting cock and balls. It's like, well, why have you done that? Because I have Tourette's. Well, girls typically, historically, don't really get Tourette's. It's kind of a boy thing for some
TikTok is
reason.
actually spreading mental illness. There was a study that was done where kids are actually picking up mental illness from TikTok. So, and it's interesting that my daughter even recognizes it and sees it in her peers. And she said something interesting to me the other day when we were talking about this. She goes, "Yeah, I'm considered cool because I don't have any of these things." I'm like, "Really? Well, then why don't they get rid of them and they can be cool?" She's like, "Yeah, they're all addicted. I don't know. They just think I'm cool because I don't
being
have it."
normal. I said it's going to be the new punk rock. That's the
Yeah.
thing. And then all these
But
people.
my kids are like, they're creative, and my one daughter who's 17, she reads books, actual books. Like, she's a bookworm.
Oh
Like
my God,
me.
burn the witch.
I know, right? Like, she's like the only kid they make fun of her because she sits on the bus and reads a book. Like, although I can tell they respect her for it in a strange way, because none of them have the attention to sit and read a book. This is, we've got to stop living in these machines. We're creating our own matrix. We are enslaving ourselves to the matrix. Okay, the matrix is real. It's being foisted upon us. I think Diego was it Diego that said that today? He said, we were talking about the Matrix with Diego too, and so it's like a theme today, right? About the
It's
simulation.
very real, and people are waking up to it.
Diego said he didn't think we're in one. He thinks they're trying to put us in one, and I think he's right, because if you walk outside your door and go touch grass, you're in a whole different world, right? You're in reality. You're like in the dirt, okay? That's different. When you get in your head and you're in this mind space that was created for you, and the social medias and the internet and the phone and everything, that's the thing. That's the simulation. Because look, Twitter's not real life. How many times have you heard that? But when you're a Twitter user like me and you're on there all the time, you really start to believe that what's trending on Twitter is what people really think, and that everyone's thinking about it. But if you walk outside and go see your neighbor and ask your neighbor, like, hey, what did you think about hashtag whatever? They're going to be like, what? Hardly anybody is actually on Twitter. It's like
Yeah.
a tiny percentage of the population. So you can actually delete yourself from the matrix by putting down the phone and just interacting with your community. And you will find that it is not the same as what's on Twitter. It's actually quite different out there.
I chose one matrix for another, so I'm actually very new to Twitter. Only since starting, or a little bit after starting my YouTube channel, and before that, I was on Reddit a lot. And God, Reddit is only good for boobs and Formula One. So God, Reddit is such garbage. So,
I like Am I the Asshole on Reddit. That's one of my favorite pages.
oh man, they have done so many experiments on that where they've done like, here's a story. I am a female. Here is the story. Am I the asshole? And everyone's like, oh no, you're fine, princess, blah, 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 blah. And then I am a male. This is the exact identical story. Am I the asshole?
Yep.
You should burn in hell. And it's just like, whoa. That's insane. It is crazy. But oh God, what was I gonna
Sorry,
say?
I have cervical problems. I'm stretching my shoulders.
Why would that offend me at all?
I don't know, but like people are probably like, why is she hanging from the rafters? Well, I have neck problems, folks.
So when on my show Saturday night, one of my friends and guests, they were literally standing doing dishes and putting away their dishes. And my
That sounds like what I do on Locals.
and then my chat and my mod that just popped in, she was like, I actually really love this because it's like a really it's like an interesting thing. It's just like it's a bunch of friends just hanging out, just doing stuff.
Yeah.
While having a conversation. It's like, yeah, that's space. I guess, I don't know if that's what my channel becomes, just a bunch of cool people hanging out, just talking about what's going on in the world. And that's right. And I forgot what was I going to say about major. Oh, right. Ready Player One. That is what I think. That's the sort of matrix that we're going to end up in, right?
Yeah.
Where
that's where they're pushing
everything
us into.
really worth doing is going to be like in the metaverse or whatever Zucker asshole's trying to do.
That's why the urban decay is so scary, because they're making everything around you in the cities not worth being in, right? It's dangerous to go out in the streets. It's dangerous to be on the subway. It's dangerous to leave your house. So, but you don't need to leave your house because there's this really cool meta universe and you can go in there. And I've got the Oculus there. It's cool. It's fun. Okay. It really is. And you do feel like you get lost in there and like you leave the world for a while. It really does feel that way. I mean, I love me some Beat Saber. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I will, I can lose myself in that for a while and it's fun. And I can see the applications of it in the future are going to be just terrifying because you would begin to ignore what's around you, which is why I hate those games that the kids play, like Sims and those time management games that I like the cooking games or like whatever. I tease my daughters. I'm like, you will clean your room in Sims, but you won't clean your room. You know, like you think it's fun to clean a room in Sims, but not your actual room. Like get off of there and tend to what is real. Do your laundry, clean your room. I'm like Jordan Peterson in my house. Well, clean your room.
That's a dopamine problem. That's an ADHD dopamine problem. Cleaning your actual room or doing actual dishes, you don't have the dopamine. That's physically painful.
And this is the thing. We have avoided physical labor for so long. And that's, of course, the human condition. We do always look for the easier ways to do things. But we've made life so easy now, so easy that even just doing dishes exhausts us. Ridiculous. This is ridiculous. This scenario that we're in.
I can't do dishes. It causes my brain to hurt.
We've got to get back to some kind of regular physical activity. And this idea of like, oh, we have to create a machine to lift stuff. Okay, so here's a weight machine right behind me. And like we have to use these machines instead of like carrying hay bales and slinging hay, we're lifting these weights. It just we've made being human into something that it doesn't need to be. If we just lived the way we're supposed to, we'd be fine. But
Look
we
at
don't.
the shit that I get from my chat. This is my friend Allison. She was the one I was saying who was doing dishes on the stream. She's like, just pop it in for a minute to see if you shaved. Nope, because everyone hates the mustache.
Why do they
I
hate
mean,
it?
if,
It's so
if,
in right now.
If Camelot can do it, I can do it too. So fuck you guys.
I think it looks nice. I think it's, it reminds me of my dad. My dad had a mustache for my whole life.
I look like a dad.
Until he then like finally he shaved it, and then none of us recognized him. We were like, oh my God, you look so much younger, because he had a mustache my whole life. Then he grew a goatee, and that's what he's had ever since, is a goatee. But he had that stash for 20 some years. And I think it's a good look. I don't hate it. I like it.
My oldest, every time I walk into a room, and again, he's autistic. I walk into a room, he goes, "Oh, mustache!" It's like when Pamela Anderson used to say about how when she would walk into a room, her boobs would walk into a room like a minute before her. My mustache walks into a room a minute, and he's like, "Oh, mustache! Oh, hi, Dad."
Right.
And then I'm like, "Oh, you don't like the mustache?" She's like, "No, I don't like the mustache. I want to shave the mustache." And I was like, you know what? If I was perfectly fine with exposing your face to the internet, I would let you do it on stream. But I'm not comfortable with that yet. So we can't do that. Also,
I quit putting pictures of my kids online a long time ago. It started to feel really wrong. Like, they didn't ask for this. They didn't choose this. Nobody got their permission, like, to put their photograph. And what if my kids decide they don't want to ever be known and they never want to be on social media, and I ruin that because I put them out there. So I pretty much don't use Facebook anymore. I don't put anything up. And that's kind of sad, because I want to share like pictures of my kids with my family and stuff, but I will send them like text messages. I'll just send it on my phone. But I do feel like that's a dilemma parents have to wrestle with. Really think about it before you start posting pictures of your kids online, because they'll never go away. They'll always be there. There's facial recognition software.
That freaks me out so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh God, that freaks me out. And I don't want someone to be like, oh, here's a little boy. He's handsome and autistic. I could probably pluck him.
Yeah.
Like low hanging fruit. Because my middle two, 4 years old and 3 year old, they're nonverbal.
Oh.
So God, Post Millennial had a story that I covered. I don't know how long ago. So my channel, basically, for anyone who is new here or whatever, is basically if you took Nick Rekieta and the Quartering and you made them have a baby, but then you sent that baby to Canada to be raised by the Mighty Goose. That's me. And so I did the story where it was some trans daycare worker, some big burly guy who was who was like a they them or a she or a whatever. He was like raping like young autistic children or whatever, and he said raping the nonverbal ones was like
directly
Christmas.
to the wood chipper. Directly to the wood chipper, that one.
But he said the nonverbal ones were like Christmas.
That's disgusting.
I lost my fucking mind because I'm like,
disgusting.
I have two nonverbal kids, and I was literally apoplectic, and so somehow I have basically my channel has gone from, oh, this is the news. Like I remember covering when I just started covering world events. Oh, there was some stampede in Korea and blah 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 blah. But now it's just like I'm solely like these fucking trans people. Like that's what my channel's
Yeah.
basically become.
I know. I felt like I'm like that's happening. That happened to me too, because it does feel like the issue of the time. And although I will say this, like if you go out into the world, out into your neighborhood, how many trans people do you see?
It's you know what actually. So my wife is she's a supervisor at Starbucks. So we see
Oh,
some.
she's going to see more than your fair share. But I mean, where I am, I've seen one in the 6 years I've lived here. One. So to me, that means this. It means it's more of a social contagion on social media than it is in real life. And we have to make a distinction between the two. Where it becomes really, really dangerous is that the people pushing it make it the issue in your schools as if every other person you see is trans. Like, for instance, my seventh grader, her first day of school in a public school, I had transferred her from a Catholic school for reasons. And her very first day, one of her teachers asked them to write their pronouns on a piece of paper and share them with the class.
I hate
And
that.
of course, she was like, no, she refused to do it. But then the teacher ordered her to do it, so she did. I had words with that teacher, of course. But here's the funny part. Not one student in the entire class put anything other than their biological pronouns. So this idea that they're pushing this as if it's some major thing that is happening that needs addressing is false.
Yeah.
It's false. It is not something that is taking over, the majority of kids. We're being told that that's happening. But do you look around and actually see it happening nearby you? Or is it just the cult pushing their narrative inside the schools for no damn good reason?
Well, it's two things. So I bring up my wife because she works with a transgendered individual who is biological female, who has a biologically what you would consider a female name, who dresses like a girl, wears makeup like a girl, dates boys, but is a they them.
Yeah,
And
this is a trend.
I'm like, oh, I get it. You're a trans trender. It's
Yeah.
trendy. Like Demi Lovato. Demi Lovato wanted to sell an album, so she was non-binary. And then a year later, she was like, oh my God, you know what? One day I was going to the girls' bathroom and then I realized, oh, I am a girl because the sign just spoke to me. I'm like, really? That's the way you got out of it? I bet that's how Dylan Mulvaney's gonna get out of it.
Yeah, Dylan Mulvaney, that's a whole other thing. Like that guy seriously has just taken advantage of a trend, and he's learned how to monetize it. He tried for years and years to be famous. It didn't work out. And this made him ultra famous. And so he's going to ride that bitch till it's done. I mean, that's the way it's going to go. I don't see him getting bottom surgery. I'll tell you that much. I think he's just a gay
hormones.
Dude. No, I don't think he's taking hormones. He's just a gay dude. And
because the facial surgery, the softening surgery that he did, I mean, what's that? The thing that's going to do is if they were to go back, is he would just be a very pretty gay guy,
right? Which won't hurt him at all.
Won't hurt him at all.
No, and also if you notice with him, he obviously wanted to be a Broadway star. It's all about singing and dancing for him. And now he's just found a way to bring his talent out and show people. I do find him entertaining. I find it disgusting how the culture is embracing this woman face thing that he does. I think it's nothing but a costume.
It is.
But you can't really blame him. He's a guy who found a niche. He found his ticket. And you can't blame him for it. I mean, it's society at large and the companies who are embracing this nonsense, they're the ones to blame, not Dylan.
Yeah. So
If I turn my camera off, by the way, for a second, it's because my kid just got home off the bus, so he might
oh
come
no, no,
running out
that's
here.
fine. I understand.
I'll still be here.
You protect your kids, absolutely. So Dr. Mimo here is saying it's being taught in teachers' colleges, and as a former teacher, and I don't doubt that. Like, it's been in academia for such a long time, and
But they're
so
making out to seem like it's a way bigger problem than it is. I mean, look around to see how many of the kids in your neighborhood or around that are trans. You're not going to find many. You're really not. Unless, well, I guess if you're in an urban center like New York City, maybe you'd find a lot more.
So in my province of Ontario, our Ontario Superior Court basically said a school board was justified in shutting down a speaker, and you might know a little bit about this, shutting down a speaker because they had like a presentation they wanted to give the board, and it was about why the pride flag shouldn't be flown at schools.
And this
Which
was
is-
shut down.
Yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
absolutely not. They're like, you can send it by email, and maybe we'll take a look at it.
This is like the guy who was arrested for wiping his ass with the pride flag. Like, you could wipe your ass with an American flag. You could wipe your ass with, the flag of Chicago or whatever. But you wipe your ass with a rainbow flag, straight to jail with you.
Well, yeah. So I mean, and that's important to know where you are in the hierarchy of oppression, right? Homeless and black. Well, congratulations, you're not at the top. You're near it, I bet, but
Yeah,
you're
isn't that
below.
funny?
You could be the richest, whitest trans. You're still above with your little flag. You're still above the homeless
black man with no place to go to the bathroom. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. We did find out definitively where black homeless people are on the oppression scale, and they are below trans and LGBTQ whatevers, which is incredible to me. So white people who want to be acknowledged for their sexuality, which is so bizarre in the first place. Like, dude, I don't want to hear any more about anybody's sexuality and their kinks and shit. I've had it. I've had enough of that. I've had it like right up to here with everybody's sexuality. I don't want to know. I don't want to know who you sleep with or what you like in bed. I don't need to know that to get to know you or learn what's interesting about you. I don't care. That's like the least interesting thing about you.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That should be the least interesting thing about you. So if you're like a Sam Smith and you're like, oh, the most interesting thing about me is the receptacle in which I like to come into, you're like, no, it should be like, do you like to knit? How is your Lego
or your
game
singing
going?
like your singing is pretty good. Like, I get you're a singer. How come we don't identify you as what you are, which is you are a creator, a singer, a songwriter? I mean, we used to in the 70s, Carole King and all these other songwriters, they were known for being singers and songwriters. Now you can only be known for your sexuality, or you're not somehow valid without everyone knowing where you like to stick it. And I'm sorry, but that's the least important thing. And it's also the thing I don't want to know about. Unless I'm thinking about dating you, I don't want to know about it. And I'm not thinking about dating anyone because I've been married for 23 years.
Well,
so
Mr.
I don't want to
Fox
hear
he'll be a little upset, I suspect.
I would imagine he'd be upset. I don't want to hear what anybody is doing with their nether regions because I'm not interested in that. And so why are you telling me? I feel like I'm being sexually abused every day by these people who keep announcing in public the things they like to do in bed. I don't want to know.
Well, we've gone from the Pride Parade, or at least in Canada, the Pride Parade, which was like a Saturday, to that then evolved to Pride Weekend. Okay, so you needed a little extra, so a Saturday and a Sunday, whatever, which then somehow turned into Pride Week because I don't know, you needed a week. That's ridiculous. Then it's like, well, you know what we do actually need is, since everyone gets a month, we're going to do Pride Month. And you're like, oh, a whole month? God, I don't know why you need a whole month, but Jesus, now it's in
June now gives me PTSD. I still have PTSD from last Pride Month, and I am not looking forward to this Pride Month.
They're not calling it Pride Season in Canada.
Oh God, no! Come on, shut up. Look, yesterday or Mother's Day, yeah, that was yesterday. No, 2 days ago. I was at Michael's. We went to go get craft supplies. And I'm walking around, we're looking for whatever, and we come across an entire display of pride shit. And it's wreaths for your door, rainbow wreaths and signs, and they're all the ugliest things you've ever seen. You will never see this stuff in a fashion magazine or a home magazine, like where, they put those beautiful homes. They photograph them. You will never see these interior decorators putting pride pillows on couches like it looks good, because it doesn't. First of all,
It
they're the
doesn't.
most garish colors you've ever seen.
Yep.
They're not pleasing in any way. And I guarantee you they will all be 70% off before the end of June is over, because ain't nobody buying this shit. Like, who's buying it? Look at this pride season. Oh my God,
Yeah.
stop.
From the official government of Canada. Like, I pulled this up from Jordan Peterson. And so that's Pride season. So that means what? They got 4 months now.
Yeah, you can't get away from it. There's Pride Month in June, and then you've got August. There's some kind of trans thing. They have celebrations every month of the year. There's an entire calendar that you can look up, and it's really ridiculous. And it goes all throughout the school year. I think they discovered that they made a mistake by making Pride Month in June, because the kids are not in school. So they had to do something where the kids would be in school so they could, push this shit on them there.
Well, they picked June so they could be outdoors dancing around naked.
Right.
I'm
so sick of it. There's this during, I think it was July. My husband and I were in town, which is a ways from us, but we were having a beer at a brewery. And these kids, and it was not June anymore, it must have been July, were coming down the street with a huge pride flag. And they were like, I don't know, there was only like 5 of them. But they were like looking towards the people having a beer or whatever to, like, I don't know, cheer them on or whatever. And we just sat there looking at them like, what are they doing? Why are they marching around with a pride flag? And they looked really annoyed with all the adults, sitting around drinking our beer and ignoring them. And I mean, it's at this point, it's like, these people are so, I don't care what your cause is. If you have annoyed people to the point where they see your flag and they just have a revulsion, like an immediate physical revulsion, you've done something wrong. Like, why don't you just shut up for a while? Shut up about it.
We're
tired.
I hate the idea of being triggered. I hate it. It's stupid. However, when I see that flag, I kind of get upset. And the thing is, I know kids like rainbows, so when my kids pick rainbow stuff, I know it's not for any gay reasons. Kids just happen to like rainbows, and I'm like, oh, can we? I don't know. Let's pick something else. And they're like,
they've ruined rainbows.
And then my oldest son is, well, I like the color blue. And then my wife's like, I like the color yellow. And then they put the blue Lego and the yellow Lego together. I'm like, I will not have Ukraine in my house. Different colors.
These colors are not allowed.
Yeah.
It's funny. Yeah. What happened to monkeypox, by the way, Dr. Mimo? Where did monkeypox go?
Oh, I was just going to bring it's coming back. They just did a thing being like, oh, and for some completely unrelated thing that has nothing to do with anything in particular, we need to be careful because monkeypox is coming back.
Oh, and like, just in time for Pride Parade? Is like, that what I'm hearing?
It's like, are you saying that your pride pox have something to do with pride?
Pride pox? I felt like it fell out of the news the second we started putting together that the only people getting monkeypox were the guys going to the piss orgies, and then their dogs and small children were getting it. And then everyone all of a sudden, after the dogs and small children started getting it, everyone dropped it out of the news immediately.
That's what it was. The dog was funny. They explained it away, but
the children,
they couldn't explain away why all the kids from adopted gay dads were getting it, like the Zoloft. Is that?
Oh God.
I have a playlist of that, and
that case is.
I have
sick.
I've been very slowly doing all of the parts from Town Hall, and if I were a good YouTuber, I would have sat down and I would have done them one a day because there's only like 5 or whatever parts. I think I have 3 or 4 done. I just can't read the story because those kids are special needs kids, and the way they describe, they don't say autism, but it strikes me as autism. And I'm like, oh, are you raping autistic kids? Because that's, that infuriates me. And yeah, so it's just like
And the
there's a
mainstream media wants nothing to do with it. Mia Cathell at Town Hall is the only reporter who has really delved into that story. This should be on 60 Minutes. It should sound alarm bells for adoption agencies that, like, hey, maybe people had a point when they said we should be looking very closely before we do this, before we do gay adoption and all this stuff, because why are you not doing these criminal background checks? One of them had been credibly accused of child molestation before adopting these kids. So
Yep.
People are just looking the other way, because if you're on the rainbow spectrum, you can do anything, and you are not going to be questioned, and you are not going to be criticized, and it's absolutely disgusting. It's got to stop. This is why I love Gays Against Groomers, because I think that they are truly one of the only organizations filled with people who can really speak to this issue, because we have to hear from people who are gay, who are not weirdos. We have to hear from those people to say, hey, yeah, we're with you, we're with the normies, and we don't want this going on anymore.
It sort of has to come from within. Like an example of that would be like, men can't help women with trans in sports, women have to stand up, that kind of thing. So
Yes.
I mean, normal gays have to go, hey, whoa, listen, we're crossing lines here when you're diddling kids. Maybe stop.
And don't be trying to bring your sexuality and your sexual grooming into schools. Look, I have always been on the side of sex education should never be anything more than biology, anatomy, and reproduction. That's it.
Agreed.
That's all it should be, and it's
In
all
like
it should
grade
ever
9.
be. That means no talk about I don't even think that they should talk about birth control, frankly, because I think that should be left to parents, to give their own morality on that subject. Because, for instance, you're talking about you're dealing with kids who come from a huge variety of backgrounds, like Catholicism or Islam or Hindu, and they're all going to have their own opinions on birth control. Fine. You want to tell kids what's available? Okay, fine. But going into I even thought putting condoms on bananas is ridiculous. A monkey could figure out how to use a condom.
But you know what's funny? Boys don't put condoms on bananas, girls do.
What?
So, the putting condom on bananas, girls do that. Boys don't learn that.
Why wouldn't they have boys do that?
That's the question I'm asking. That's the question I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just think the whole thing is pointless. It's like a monkey could figure this out. Like, you can read, right? We taught you how to read. That's what reading directions are for. Like, no one needs to show you how to put a condom on. That's ridiculous. This is the infantilization of kids that we have been doing, that this country has been doing, dumbing them down, pretending like you have to say to people, don't iron the clothes while they're on your body. Can we please? It's enough already. We're pretending that the kids are so stupid they can't read the directions on the box of condoms. Sorry, that's just absurd. And that's what started all of this. It was like a slippery slope to be like, well, we have to show them how to use them. I mean, otherwise, how will they know? And those of us who are saying, no, it's not necessary, they'll figure it out.
We ask mom and dad or something.
We got
ask your big brother.
Yeah, remove all the warning labels and sort us out. That's right. The Darwin Awards will win.
Red Jen says, and they don't need to learn about butt plugs either.
Hell no. I wish I didn't know what that was. I wish I did not know. I mean, there are things that I wish I didn't know about any of this weird human sexuality that goes on. Most people don't need to know about any of this. And if you're the type of degenerate who wants to know, there's the internet and you'll find out. There's no reason to indoctrinate small children into weird adult fetishes. There's no reason at all. Teach them biology, teach them reproduction, and leave it at that. Or teach them STDs. I would include lots of graphic pictures of genital warts, I think is very appropriate.
Oh my God, you show the kids the blue waffle. You're like, kids, you want to see something? Blue waffle.
What's a blue waffle?
Please don't look it up.
Okay, I won't.
Please don't look it
Wait,
up.
now I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it
Please
right
don't
now.
look it up.
I'm gonna do it
No,
right now.
listen,
I'm
Megan.
doing it. You
I
can't
like
stop
you.
me.
I
You
now
can't stop me.
consider you my friend. Please don't.
I'm doing it.
Well, you'll
Is
have
that
to
a
have your.
real? It's an STI. Oh my god!
I said don't.
Oh my god!
I said
Oh my
don't.
god! Oh my god! What? How is this possible?
I don't know, but I said don't.
No, it's fake. It's fake. It's not real.
No, the blue waffle's real.
No, it's not real. It says it's not real.
There's God, no, that's an old thing. People have like memed it and done all kinds of things, but it was originally.
Oh my gosh!
There was a real one a long time ago, and yeah, I haven't looked it up in a long time, so I don't know what people have done to the legend, but yeah,
It says it's not real. It says it's a hoax.
Oh,
An
good.
internet hoax.
Good. Hopefully that's the thing. But it was basically like a larger woman, and some STI got so bad that the business turned to blue and yucky.
Gross.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I do believe though that lots of STD education would be a good idea. I think that I know I always tell my kids about it. I make them look at pictures. Because 1 in 4 people have herpes, and that's never good.
Yikes.
You need to keep that in mind when you're, surfing the Tinder.
But
1
you
in
also-
4, baby. 1
You
in
have
4.
you have to tell your boys, be like, listen, boys, fucking a girl without a condom is like fucking her with a blank check.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
That's I if I ever have to have that conversation with my kids, I likely won't. But if I do, I'm literally going to say that.
Well, look, they do need to know the realities. They need to know biology. But other than that, they'll learn the rest they need to know in college, like everybody else did. We all learned as we went along. And there's nothing wrong with that because you learn at the rate you are ready to learn. I always believe in answering the questions that kids ask and not further, not going any further than that.
Well, I mean, like think about I don't know, like what, like the pioneer days or whatever. There was nobody sat you down in the classroom and it was like, listen, we're gonna do something very interesting to this banana. Like we're gonna put this beaver pelt on top of it.
Oh God!
Like it never happened. You just sort of
and yet
nature.
the human race continued to proliferate, and yet people continued.
Yeah, exactly.
No one needs to tell you, like no one needs to tell kids the details of sex. Their bodies will naturally take over and they'll work itself out. Like they just need to know that that's how babies are made. So if you don't want to be a mother, you don't want to be a father, don't engage. Because that's the reality. What they're doing now is so far beyond. They have gone so far beyond what they need to, and it is causing children to now start assaulting one another. And we just saw that horrific story of the 6-year-old forced into fellatio by other 6-year-olds.
No, what in the fuck is that about?
And they filmed it. This is because they are being exposed to pornography and under the guise of education it's being given to them in their books and their children's libraries. It's crazy.
I've never wanted to toss a kid into a wood chipper before, but then I read that story. I'm like, huh, who knew?
You know what? Me too. I was like, I don't care if he sticks, straight to jail. I don't care. This kid needs to at least be under house arrest. He's not a safe person.
Then they kept it quiet at school. They found it. They were like, oh, they recorded this on a tablet. Oh my God, this is damning evidence. Well, we were going to keep this quiet for a week.
Yeah, it's terrible. And then they're not giving up the evidence to the parents when the parents have requested it, the relatives of the child. It's outrageous what they're doing.
Well, the school probably was like, well, if the FBI can withhold shit, we can too.
Yeah, it's not like their example is any better, right? The government has been hiding things from us for a long time, which is one of the things, if you want to learn how to get stuff out of your government, you can buy my book, Shut Up, The Bizarre War the One Public Library Waged Against the First Amendment, because it's a really good guide about how to use FOIA and the Freedom of Information Act to get secrets from
Damn
your
it.
government boards.
I wasn't prepared for that book. I had this book on ready to go.
Sorry, that was my first one. My first one is Shut Up. This is my second one, Believe Evidence. If you click, what are you on? Are you on Barnes and Noble?
Yeah,
If
but
you clicked on my
also
name, it might take you over to the other one.
maybe
I don't do
let's-
Barnes and Noble very often, so I don't
Well,
know, but it should.
came
It
up
should
with
be
that.
there.
Oh, we have
No,
Oh,
no,
why?
it came
Why
up
doesn't
with the other one?
I
Weird.
literally?
There it is. There it
Wait.
is. Shut up at the bottom.
Why did it say you, Megan Fox? I clicked and I got the Megan Fox with
I don't know.
toe thumbs.
I don't
That's
know. That's weird.
that's silly.
But this is the one that's about holding government boards accountable and using FOIA to shake out their secrets. That school is not going to be able to hide from the Freedom of Information Act. Now they're going to try and do things like charge unbelievable amounts. I had a school charge me $2,000 for a Freedom of Information request that I asked them to give me information on their trans closet. And then for $2,000, they gave me 400 copies of my email to them. And there wasn't a damn thing I could do about it. So I couldn't sue them. I couldn't get my money back. It was terrible. So
What? That's ludicrous.
yeah, but that's what they do. That's how they get around it. Now, I mean, I could sue them, but I don't have an extra 10 grand. I'm suing Wauwatosa School Board right now. And the extra 10 grand I had went there to Robert Barnes. So my audience has been incredible with the crowdfunding, and we were able to crowdfund the Wauwatosa school lawsuit. I really need to write an article on an update because the lawsuit has been filed, and I need to write about that.
Yeah, this is the latest I could find, and
Yeah,
mostly,
I
I
need to
think
write a new
the
one.
most important part of this whole story is who the fuck is naming these school boards? What Tosa? What is that?
It's the name of this place in Wisconsin. Wisconsin has a
Why?
lot of those Native American names, I think. I think that's
Yeah,
a Native American name.
Canada, yes, it is, but Canada has lots of Aboriginal people too. But really, why?
Spelling it is even harder than saying it. Try
You
to
should-
spell it.
You should. Okay, so you had. Well, let me tell you, Miss. When I forget, I don't know if it was Vices or Diego that you were. You had mentioned it first. But I had heard it, and I was in my kitchen and my whiteboard. I'm like, oh, I need to look that up because I have to do some research and catch up on some things. And so on my whiteboard, I didn't spell it anything near like this.
Yeah,
was just like-
spelling Wauwatosa. I have to check it every time I write it for PJ Media because it's a difficult spelling.
Yeah.
For sure. But these people are so full of themselves. Have you shown your audience the clip of me of what they did to me?
Not yet. That's this, right? The 46. Is that this 46 second?
Let's see. No, that's not the one. Wait, go up a little more. It's the YouTube video. It's
This-
that. What does
this
that
one.
say? It's no
This
longer
isn't-
available?
No longer available.
What was that? What did I
Uh,
put there? I wish I knew what I put there. Now I don't know.
Yeah.
I have a
don't know.
clip of it. Hold on. I'll give it to you in the private chat. I wonder what it was that I put there.
But yeah,
Is
they
that like showing, maybe that
they
was
stopped
on.
you from speaking, right?
They did. They muted me, and the dog is going nuts because the other kids just got home. So he's
Yeah,
he's wanting
so
to get to them.
That
That's
was
why he's
the-
running back and forth like a crazy dog. Let's see.
that was like this on Ontario thing that I was showing you where the woman's presentation basically said trans children don't exist. This term was brought into being by a coalition of pressure groups and political activists. It's not a scientific or medical term. We have a moral obligation to open transgender doctrine to critical scrutiny. We stand in solidarity with biology, human design, physical reality, health, and moralism, and just like by allowing the LGBT flag flown, it's as parents and concerned citizens, we politely ask you to not support the harmful transgender ideology by allowing the Alphabet Mafia flag to be flown, and then so that was like the speech that wasn't allowed, and the court was like, yeah, that's fine, that's fair.
I put it in the private chat for you so you can
All right,
pull it up.
I'll-
It's only like 3 minutes, I think.
But it's pretty interesting. I mean, when these people do these things to you, the only thing that they listen to are lawsuits. That's the only thing that they will listen.
So the to finish this, so the court's ruling for the reason why it was fine for the school board to shut that down was because it was like hateful, right? You could hurt feelings. Fifis are important, and so they said it's only necessary to imagine a trans student in attendance of such a presentation. So therefore, because we could imagine, despite whether or not there was one there, we could imagine one being there, and therefore, yeah, you don't get to say. So I mean, to me that sets some precedent.
Ridiculous.
If you can
Ridiculous.
imagine a transgendered individual in an audience, then that means your speech is curtailed.
I have to let him into the house because he's going to whine and bark.
Absolutely. I'll just pull up this video here. Oh dear. Okay. We'll share this. Get rid of this. Oh my goodness.
His children are home.
Oh goodness. I bet he is very excited.
Yes. Yes, he's very excited.
Oh,
But yeah,
have,
I mean,
you have
why are
Farron
people
on
so
this.
why are people so yeah, Farron was on with me the night that happened live. I wasn't actually planning on speaking. It's just that I was watching them and they kept on breaking the law. And I wanted to tell them, hey, if you keep doing this, you're opening yourself up to a lawsuit. And they didn't listen. And then I made the decision to bother Robert Barnes about it for the next several months and say, hey, do you want to sue these people? I think I have a cause of action. And it turned out I have 3 causes of action. And he decided to take it.
Oh wow. That's good. Farron was supposed to come on my channel, but then she had surgery, and then she was like moving out of DC, and then she sold her channel. I'm like, Farron, what the hell's the matter with you?
She's had a rough time of it. I think that YouTube is not for everybody, and she decided she didn't want to do it anymore, and that's too bad. And it sucks. Trolls are bad.
Maybe I can get her to do a special appearance one day. I won't harangue her or anything. But yeah, we were chatting DMs all the time, and she'll be like, "Oh yeah, just there's a lot going on. Just wait." And then all this stuff happened. I'm like, "Huh, god damn it." Is there a moment on this that you want me to skip to specifically, or just?
No, I would just start at the beginning. It's pretty funny.
Okay.
Please state your name and address.
Can
All
you
right.
hear that okay?
Hello, my name is Megan Fox, and I'll tell you why I'm not going to give you my address. For one, I just read your Wisconsin Rules of Open Meetings Act. It's a law. And the law in Wisconsin is that the public has a right to participate in your meetings. And nowhere in it does it say that anyone has to dox themselves online in order to participate in a public meeting. I want you to know that school boards like yourselves have been sued successfully before in the past for doing this. It's considered an intimidation technique. Now, you can sigh and put your face in your hands, but you need to listen to me when I tell you that you can be sued for what you're doing. You are violating people's rights. And you're doing what you did today by cutting off public comment in the beginning of the meeting when you had a full house of people who wanted to speak to you. And you made them wait 2 hours, and most of them had to go home because they had to work jobs tomorrow, or because they had to get kids somewhere, or because they had to go home and get dinner. What you did is violating the public's First Amendment rights to address their public bodies for grievances. It is a violation of the Constitution, and you should each be ashamed. Sharon, you should be ashamed of yourself. Leanne, you should be ashamed of yourself. Michael, you should be ashamed of yourself. And you too, Jenny, and you too, Jessica. And let me tell you something else.
Is Jessica a man?
When people use names in front of your school board, and they come in and they say, I want to talk to you about a specific person on the board. You are not allowed to tell them that their First
Amendment right to speak is curtailed in some way because they want to use a name. That is illegal. What you are doing is against the Wisconsin Open Meetings Act. Now, listen, I have 3 minutes, and I know that my time is not up. You are not to interrupt me while I am speaking. This is public comment time, and I'm a member of the public. You can sit there and be as uncomfortable as you want, but I have this 3 minutes. So listen to me, Michael. When you are talking to people, when
They
come
get
here to
triggered
see
when
you,
you use their
you are
names.
put into this position, by the way, by the
Yeah,
people
they
of
they
this
look
town.
so uncomfortable.
They are your first priority.
Surprise. Where are
Here
you?
we go. They're
They
going to
are
cut me
your
off.
first priority. They are the
Just
people
continue.
you're
Did
responsible
Did you need
to.
me to mute this?
Yes.
Why
Thank
would
you.
you? Why would you mute me?
Okay. Sorry,
my
I couldn't
3
hear
minutes
you
are
over
not
there.
up. My
Okay.
3
No,
minutes
I
are
think
not up.
At the point where we started
Wow.
electing individual board members, we devolved.
Well, they're wrong.
If you've already spoken, your time is up.
Now he admits that
Anyone?
My time was
Who's
not
wrong?
up.
they
By the way.
arbitrarily shut me
They're
up.
full
Well,
of crap.
Two
Look at 'em.
things.
They're
First,
so
the
uncomfortable.
chair has the right to cut off comment if the comment is not
What?
aligned with
Oh.
the dignity of the body.
What the fuck
Oh,
does
no,
that
you
even
don't.
mean?
So
Oh no, you.
just to put that out there.
They're
That
so
is not what the
dignified.
First
If
Amendment
there's
says.
something inappropriate being said,
What was inappropriate?
now that's a
Inappropriate.
judgment call, that's true.
What?
But the chair does have authority to do that. The
Bullshit.
chair does not have authority under our rules to cut off a board member. We have no time limits. So I can just keep talking here once you recognize me. But to
Look at how
say
uncomfortable they are.
whether you support me or not in the community, we have an orderly process.
What was unorderly about that? I had
And
3
the
minutes.
chair is running the meetings and the chair has certain discretions and
I
that's
could sue him
okay.
for
That's
this.
probably a good idea.
You
Um,
should.
I should.
Second thing, about
Please state your name and
So-
address.
That's
I am-
that.
I am
And then
I am
we did
actually
sue them.
I'm shocked by that. You're
Isn't that
one,
something?
you're poor Mr. Fox if he gets on the wrong side of you.
I have never spoken to my husband like that ever. Ever.
And two, I mean, wow, you are that's like a fucking badass right there. Holy cow, that was awesome. That was
This
awesome.
is why I earned the title the mom of the internet, because I will mom shame you like nobody's business. If you cross me, I will mom shame you. Those people needed a shaming. We should make shaming great again. When you do things like violate the constitutional rights of your constituents, you should be shamed publicly. Now, Robert Barnes has said, he took on this case. He loves this case because he's like, she didn't do anything that they even accused her of. It wasn't disorderly. She wasn't out of line. She didn't use any profanity. She didn't even raise her voice. They just didn't like my tone. I was serious with them and I was telling them, you're going to get in trouble for this. You shouldn't do this. I was shaking my finger in their face. But there's nothing that says I can't do that as a constituent in the United States of America. I'm allowed to tell public officials, hey, you're a piece of shit. I didn't even go that far. I could have actually said, you're a piece of shit and you're a piece of shit and so are you. But I didn't. I just said, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. And you should all be ashamed of yourselves. You have one job, and that is to listen to the people who come here and who pay your salary and who voted to put you in these seats. You have one job. That's all you need to do is sit there and open your ears and shut your mouth for the 3 minutes that everybody has. And when they're done, you can go about ignoring them after that. But you don't get to interrupt and tell people, demand that people give you their addresses. What you missed before that was that Jamie Michelle of Gays Against Groomers was there to speak, and they interrupted her 3 times to force her to give her address online. She is a figure who is under constant threat by Antifa.
Yeah,
She has no responsibility to them to dox herself online. Absolutely ridiculous. And she didn't do it. I mean, it turns out that there were 3 causes of action in there, which is the cutting me off for saying I use their names. They think they have the right to keep their names out of my mouth. Oh, hell
but it's on the screen.
no.
It's literally on the screen.
Exactly. They make these arbitrary rules that make no sense. What they're really doing is making rules against criticizing them. You're not allowed. But if I walked up there and said, Jessica, I just want you to know that that calendar that you made, it's just the greatest thing it was just so wonderful. That literally happened in the same meeting. Somebody walked up and called them by name and said, you did this thing and it was so good. And they didn't cut her off and they didn't shut her microphone off. They didn't yell at her about using names. But if you use their name in a negative way, suddenly it's not okay.
Was
I
it
mean,
a
these-
calendar filled with child porn? Because I wouldn't put it past them.
I wouldn't put it past them either. I mean, these people, they just don't want to hear from people who want to criticize them. And by the way, that board, the reason why those people were there was because they were voting to include pornographic sex education that included graphic photographs of genitalia and instructions on teaching kids how to sext each other. Literally teaching
what?
kids how to send each other
Why?
child porn.
That doesn't make sense to me.
And how to
Listen,
use dating apps like Grindr.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, one of
Fuck,
the books.
I'm ready for Apophis.
One of the books said, use this app Grindr. It will guide you to the nearest homosexual.
Where is Apophis when you need it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we need a meteorite to like cleanse this
I
fucking
know.
earth.
This
like,
is why I'm telling you what's coming next is nothing but destruction, because there can be no other. You don't recover from this. You know, you don't just like turn around and go the other way and everyone's fine and dandy from this. This is absolute societal destruction and crumbling. We are going to witness, and I'm sorry to say it's going to happen in our lifetimes. We've got maybe 20 years left. We're going to witness the absolute degradation and destruction of America, period.
it's the fourth turning.
It's done. It's done.
It's the whole the hard men make good times and then good times. It's that.
Yep.
We're in the
That's
fourth turning.
That's where we're at.
Every 80 years, it all goes to shit. And 80 years is just about here since the last time it went to shit, which was World War II.
Yeah,
So-
and that's where we're at. And believe me, there's no other outcome for anybody who's like, "Oh, we're going to win the culture war." No, we're not. Not for another 50, maybe 75 years. Like I don't know. Like, but it's not happening soon.
Well, it's either we're going to win the culture war after this next, I don't know, turning or whatever, and then everything is fine for a while, or we will straight up lose and we will be crushed, and then everything will be fine and dandy because everyone will be eating the bugs in their pods and there won't be any resistance. So then everything is fine and dandy. One of those two things is going to happen. I just hope we're on the right side of it. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we are.
we have to check
Although-
food here now. We have to check food so there's not cricket powder in it.
Are you serious? That's gross.
Yeah. In my town, okay, so in my town, you have to we have I don't know if it's a first of its kind or whatever. We have a cricket processing facility. It's a massive facility where crickets are made, so it could be food.
I'm not going to eat bugs.
I don't want to eat bugs. I hate it. But then you see like these adverts with like Nicole Kidman because that's not creepy all by itself, and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna eat these bugs. Oh, look at these little blue bugs. Oh, I'm eating them with chopsticks. Oh, it's so great." And you're like, "I hate everything about this." It's
Dr.
awful.
Mimo in the chat has a great point about that board. They blather on about decorum and then approve porn for kids. That's exactly what they did. So you think that my comments are beneath the dignity of this board, but porn for kids and teaching kids how to sext one another, child porn, that's not beneath the dignity of the society, of the community. Oh yes, it is, because the community has deemed already that those things are not appropriate. And it's absolutely, the hypocrisy is unbelievable with these people. So
And when
on
you-
one hand, you can't criticize a board member because that's not decorous. It's not decorous. But you can give kids porn? Oh my God.
But you can't even read their books back to them because they go, whoa, that's not appropriate for here. What are you, crazy? There's kids in the gallery. And you go, what?
You're giving it to kids. It's in their library. Like, I know I just saw this pastor on Twitter. I just made a video about it today, a short video on my YouTube page, which, by the way, please go subscribe to my YouTube. I'm doing shorter news clips there, and then I do live streams on Rumble. Please find both. But I just did this one where this pastor is reading from this book they claim is sexual education called It's Perfectly Normal. And he's reading what's in it. And they're like, sir, they keep interrupting him. Oh, sir. He's like, oh, you don't like that? Was it something I said? Like, oh, you don't like this. I get it. Okay. But if it's not okay for the school board meeting, then how is it okay for our children? I'm telling you what, we are surrounded by total morons, Sean. I don't know what to tell you. Either morons or evil.
It's evil. It's okay. So this is I don't know, a weird thing. Like I never, you know how I said I sort of got like the biggest red pill suppository at the beginning of this pandemic. I was never really religious. In fact, once upon a time, I was you could probably say I was anti-theist. Like I was against religion. And then in my old age, I mean, I am rather elderly nowadays. I have softened up to the point where now where the pandemic happened, and seeing these things done to kids, and seeing Fauci do things to dogs, and just all of this stuff, it really seemed like it was absolute pure evil being done. Like, I mean, especially with the kids, like all of a sudden you got these, like, there's one, I don't know if it's famous or infamous or whatever, it's prominent photo on Twitter where you have these two young girls, just so young. I think one's got blue hair, one's got pink hair, and they're sort of like arm in arm, kind of hugging. They're and they have like the zipper tit scars. And they're like, yeah, look at us. I'm like, you have to be
God.
13. You have to be 13 years old, and like it's this photo, and I'm like,
no.
that is pure evil. And then at that point, I was like, well, if this evil is real, if it's real, then there has to be something on the other side of that equation, on the other
Right.
side of that equal sign. There has to be something.
Well, even if you don't believe there is anything, let's say you don't believe there's anything, you do know that there is like a darkness or a sickness, right, that you want to avoid. And also, if you've been paying any kind of attention, what you find is that religion, for the most part, at least in the way that we've used it, sanitized, religions aren't running around, starting crusades anymore for the most part.
Well, I almost disagree.
Well, for the most part, I mean, there's still religious wars in places, right?
I mean the gay, the LGBT. That is a
true.
religion.
That
and
is
a crusade.
That is a crusade for sure. But what I mean, for the most part, what we've used it for is in keeping control of society's baser instincts, right? Everything in most religions, all major religions, are pretty much the same as far as their morality is concerned. There's 7 major religions in the world, very similar: Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Hindu, and there's a couple more. They are pretty unanimous when it comes to the 10 commandments. Don't steal, don't kill, don't envy, don't commit adultery. These things are all very universal. And why is that? And for one, sexuality has always been fenced, right, by all religions. Has always been put in its proper place, in a role in a family, between mom and dad for procreation and whatnot. And going outside of those fencings, while you might think, well, it didn't necessarily hurt me, you can obviously see that it has hurt society in a major way. It has broken up families. It has left children fatherless. It has created poverty. It has created abortion epidemics. It has done so much to harm humanity that you start to look at the religions and look at their rules and go, maybe they have a point. Maybe there is a reason why human sexuality needs to be given guidelines, needs to be corralled, right?
It's powerful.
Because
It's very
given
powerful.
free reign, we now have people openly saying they want to have sex with children, and openly calling you a bigot if you don't agree. That's where it goes. Okay,
Did you see the UN thing?
Yes, decriminalizing pedophilia. It's like, stop it. Just
Like
stop
I
it.
had a fight with some lunatic on Twitter about like what it said. And he's like, no, he's just talking about close in age laws. I'm like, well, close in age law, that's a Romeo and Juliet law. I know Canada has them. I know all about them, right? I went to school for law. Like I know all about a Romeo and Juliet law. This is not that. And
No,
it's like,
this is
no, it's
about
totally fine. It's totally
performing
fine.
sexually in front of children and making you swallow it, making you the bad guy for saying, no, we don't want this. We don't think children should be subjected to strippers, whether they're male or female. No, children should not be in places where there's adult raunchy sex jokes and nudity. No,
Yeah.
but you're now looked at as as a religious nut job if you say drag queens are not for kids. Drag is not for kids. Suddenly now all of Hollywood is against you, and drag queens are synonymous with Jesus Christ himself.
And that is so weird because okay, so as anti drag queen and anti trans as I am, believe it or not, up until like I don't know a couple seasons ago, I've seen every episode of RuPaul Drag Race because that was a great mind numbing popcorn eating show. And in it, it was gay men who knew they were gay and that they were men and that they were performers doing adult performances, and that was that. It was you knew exactly what it was, and then all of a sudden, I mean, slowly over, you would have a drag queen do like a bad performance, and then as they were about to be eliminated, it was like, oh my god, I'm just distracted because I know that I'm trans, and then they go, oh honey, okay, you can have a second chance. And I mean, that started to creep up in the last little bit, but then all of a sudden, it was just like it was the whole narrative shifted, and I'm like, oh, I hate everything about this. Where did just the gay men that who knew they were men and or gay, and most importantly, they knew this was for adults only. Where the hell did that go? And it's like the narrative changed overnight.
Well, I
It
feel
was
really
shocking.
sorry. I feel really sorry for a lot of like the gay people like who are in Gays Against Groomers who are just horrified by what they're seeing because they spent a lot of time, working against the criticism that the gays wanted out of the closet so that they could get a hold of our kids. That was what the argument was back in the 70s. And a bunch of gay people were like, no, we don't want anything to do with your kids. That's not true. Well, now here we are. And they're all after the kids now, right? This is happening.
Yeah.
And it's not all. It's obviously like this small minority of people, but they're being given a platform. They're being given the microphone. And then you have the rest of them who are being silenced. The rest of the gay community who was like, no, we've never been about, we don't want kids at Pride. I know so many people who are like, kids should not be at Pride. Kids,
Oh yeah.
and who are these wine moms? They're not even gay, by the way, taking their kids to Pride. Like, why? Because you want your neighbors to think that you're woke and fun and cool. It's not cool to take kids to an adult sex parade. Like it's not okay for the adults that are there, doing their thing, and it's not okay for the kids to witness it. But then a bunch of them started embracing, like they're taking kids to this, and it's like, no, stop, please stop.
I don't even get why we can have that parade as it is. If I were to have my dick hang out and put on a pup mask on whatever Tuesday of any other month, then I would be arrested. But for some reason on that day, it's like laws just stop.
Well, there's also like the naked bike rides that happen that I also think shouldn't happen.
Correct.
I get into a big fight with one of my friends who's a lawyer about this because he loves the naked bike rides. Of course, he doesn't actually go naked. He wears Speedos that they paint, which is fine. Wear a Speedo. Like, why does it have to be actually naked? Like, we have public decency laws, and I would just appreciate it if everyone would respect them. We have laws against nudity in public, but if you're part of the Rainbow Brigade, you don't have to follow those laws in the month of June, apparently. You can just get up on a parade float and jiggle your bits, and you're fine.
Yeah, we got the I remember I was I'm 8 years your junior. And I remember being must have been public school. when we got when women fought for the right. There was like one woman, and apparently she was trying to win money or something. But the right to go topless in Ontario,
Oh God.
and, and this was a long
It's
time
always
ago,
a
right?
woman.
Yeah, long time ago, and
Does anybody
I
actually do it?
no one. So I remember being a kid thinking, "Oh my God, this is women now. We're gonna see boobs everywhere." And I was a kid, right? I was in public school, so you would have still been in high school. And I remember, oh my God, we are gonna see so many boobs. It's gonna be great. And then there were none, and I was like,
Of course
wait a
not.
minute,
I was
because
promised boobs.
yes, and my worldview, I was like, wait a minute, this what's happening? And it's because the average person just wants to be normal and decent and aren't interested in showing all of their bedroom parts. Like, so for some reason, this community in this month, and that's why they picked June, so it's warm enough to do it. They
Right. They're not interested in a parade in January.
that's right, and it makes me mad, but I think you're 100% spot on that now they're like, shit, we should have picked a school month.
Oh, totally. Which is why they have that day of silence, which is during the school month. And now there's like Transgender Awareness Month, which is sometime in the middle of the school year as well. I don't have the whole calendar in front of me, but it's every single month of the year. There's something they could use to push it on your kids. I got to get running here soon because I got to go make dinner. I
Oh yeah.
got to figure out what's for dinner.
Um,
I haven't taken anything out of the freezer yet, which is a problem because everything's frozen.
Yeah. I don't want to keep you too long. So it was when that shooting was, it April? Yeah, April. That's Autism Awareness Month, where we're supposed to learn about autism related things. We should learn that autism is the actual real pandemic because for some odd reason it went from 1 in 1,000 children to 1 in 35 children and 1 in 20, like 2 children in some cities, and which is like a real pandemic because if we extrapolate that, it's just pretty soon it'll be all children, and then we're gonna have a generation of children that are basically sophisticated raccoons. And no, the trans people are like, April? No, that's our month too. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. My kids are supposed to have a month. Wait, you're just gonna shoot up a school and then claim that month? Oh, it made me so mad.
Oh yeah, the Transgender Day of Vengeance or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, look, it's going to continue until people get sick of it enough to say no, and it starts with each and every one of you to stand up and say no to this, and not worry about being called a transphobe or a bigot or whatever, a homophobe. You have to just not care. You have to just not care anymore, and say it anyway. It's ridiculous that this is happening.
Yeah. Okay. So I will. The one thing I did want to bring up before you ran away, and I don't want to keep you. I appreciate you so much for coming on. Talking to you
No
was fucking
problem.
awesome.
No
Um,
problem.
So we know that Miller Lite pulled a Gillette. A lot of people are going, oh, they pulled a Bud Light. Well, this ad happened a month before, but it never really caught on. But now
And I bet they were like, oh man, we dodged a bullet.
yeah.
'Cause
Oh, the
nobody saw
conservatives are
it.
learning; they can get together. But
Mhm.
although Miller has put out a thing that said basically "fuck you," enjoy the humor, get off her dick.
They did? What did they
yeah.
say? When did they put this out? This week?
Is it today, the 16th? Just today. Wait, hang
Oh,
on,
what
let
did
me.
they say? I'm dying to know because it's not humorous at all what they did. It wasn't funny at all.
Oh, so
What they're saying is we're going to erase your history. We are going to erase the past. We're going to burn it. We're going to turn it into other shit you don't want, and we're going to jam it down your throat. None of us had a problem with bikini girls in the beer commercials. Who's complaining about that?
This is what they said. This video was about two things: worm poop and saying women shouldn't be forced to mud wrestle in order to sell beer. Neither of these things should be remotely controversial, and we hope beer drinkers can appreciate the humor of this.
Humor?
Yeah.
I found it absolutely fucking terrifying.
Well,
They're literally telling people to find the old beer ads, send it to them so they can destroy it and turn it into compost. That's not funny. It's actually terrifying. It's not funny at all. And for them to try and say that this is humorous, no, it's not. This is just the same garbage. Oh no, is that same woman?
yeah, right here on the left.
Why
that's
is
her.
she in? What is she selling?
This I don't know, but she is selling something in bra and looks like boy shorts.
Unbelievable. Where do they
Oh.
find these people? And she's also she's photographed with Hillary Clinton too. I found that one.
Yes,
So
I
she's
have.
some kind of activist. It's funny. It's always whenever feminists want to be pissed at women in bikinis, they can be. And then when they don't want to be pissed at them and they want it to be nudity to be empowering, suddenly it is. Do you
That's
see-
what I was saying. Like the slut walk, like that should have women go, "Oh my god, what, dude? You're literally you're inviting the vampire into the house. Stop." And then
Yeah.
they're like, "No, it's fine. It's just my body. You don't have a right to touch it." Like, no, but you also don't have a right to murder somebody, and that happens all the time.
Yeah, and also like how come they get to control everything? Like women, it's so damn confusing to deal with women. I would hate to be a man. Like you don't know when they're thinking what, right? 1 minute women in bikinis is totally exploitation. In the next minute they're walking down the street topless with slut written across their chests, saying that they shouldn't be shamed for this behavior or what they're wearing and no one can judge them. Well, which one is it? Is it the bikini models are bad? Or
But the activists, perhaps you didn't see. So Canada's musical awards are called the Junos, right? Nobody cares about them. We had just recently our Juno Awards. I think Avril Lavigne was on stage, and this girl got up on stage, took her top off, so topless, and she had like something written on her, and that was her way of protesting. It's like, okay, so I don't understand. Like, why you're showing us your boobs? Are we like, what is the point? And then that same girl after she went to like the prime minister's house or whatever, threw paint on his house, and then took her top off. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, you're not making change. You're just showing everyone your boobs. You're losing your OnlyFans clout.
well, they've never been really good on messaging. I mean, the messaging has always been scattered, and I think they do it on purpose because if you keep everyone confused, it's easier to manipulate people, and they continue to change their story daily. That commercial is already outdated, by the way. We were talking about that on my stream earlier. It's already outdated because they didn't show any trans women. So if you're doing a commercial now about women and you don't include men who claim to be women, you're behind the times. So that Miller Lite ad is already verboten. It's already wrong according to the woke rules and standards.
And if you go into the fine print about it, you actually see how much of a really weak virtue signal it is. First of all, recycling that stuff is going to make terrible fertilizer. It's going to be filled with like chemicals. It's going to be bad. You're going to get shit hops. But then they're only giving it to like 200 women or something.
Are they really doing this? Because that was something else I was thinking. I'm like, they're putting all that plastic and ink into the ground, like, and that's not going to affect the plants. Yes, it will.
Probably some kind of like container or something. So I think they're going to get like, I think their goal is to get 1,000 pounds of hop. And then so ultimately what it is one single bag of hops will be delivered to, it's like 200 women or 200 like female brewers. So it's literally the worst virtue signal ever.
And what they're doing is just like, there's no difference between what they're doing and what ISIS does when they tear down historic buildings and temples and destroy pieces of art and destroy statues. It's no different than that. Maybe a beer ad is not your idea of art, but it is art, and
It's
it
history.
represents a time. It represents a time in this country. It represents a better time in this country, to tell you the truth. And nobody in America is forcing women into bikinis. One of the great things about bikinis, something I love about bikinis actually, and that I love about America, I actually find bikini in America to be synonymous. Because in America, you can wear a bikini and nobody is coming after you to put you in jail. No one is coming to, drag you off in the middle of the night. There's no police that's going to beat you for being too skimpy on a beach. And I find that to be a good thing about America. And I don't think that women exercising their freedom to wear a bikini means anything about men at all. And it's more about what women choose to do and what women choose to wear. And that's entirely our business. And period. And like this woman trying to tell me that those women in those ads who, as a little girl, I looked at them and thought, boy, they're beautiful. I would like to look like that one day. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're thin and healthy and beautiful women. Now our kids are supposed to look up to these fat women.
These women are so important that these women in their bikinis, how dare they? But women are so important that we're just going to blur their faces out.
They did that, like Diego said, so they don't have to pay them.
Exactly.
How misogynistic is that?
Totally. It's a weird virtue signal, and I hate it. It's awful. And I mean, he did touch on like the environmental social governance score, the ESG. It's everywhere.
That's
and
a big deal.
I don't know how, like like you and I were talking about like the Matrix and whatnot. That's going to be a big push, like a big driving force to get us in, because all the companies are going to want that ESG score up. So somehow we're going to have to like boycott everything that subscribes to ESG. So that's going to be parallel economies. Eventually, America is going to break into where you have Wokistan and America 2 or whatever.
I actually think it's going to be worse than that, to tell you the truth, because I think the majority of people are going to go along to get along. And I think those of us who are really serious about not living under this kind of regime are going to have to basically make our own communities like communes at some point, like they're, withdrawing from society. And that's the only way you're going to escape it, is if you decide to live a survival type of lifestyle with a small community of people who think the way you do. The upsetting part about that is that communes never work out, and almost all of them, especially in the 60s, turned into weird sex cults, which is always the thing that destroys them. So going into it, you have to be very serious about the rules when it comes to human sexuality. If you're going to start any type of society, you must obey the rules, and that is one husband to one wife, period.
And leave the kids alone.
And
no cutting the tits and the dicks
alone.
off of kids. We just don't do that. That makes me so mad.
I know.
All right. I will let you go so you can make sure your kids have food.
That's important.
So, let me just do this here. So I guess when did you write this last book here? Your believe.
Evidence, 2018.
So I had gone through this. This was a review of your book, and I read it thoroughly.
Oh, I don't know if I've even read this.
Yeah. So
Who wrote this?
it's oh, I don't know, but you get 4 out of 5 stars.
Really? Would you send that to me? I've never read it.
Yeah. So they say that one of the things that maybe could have been a little better, because it talks about what could have been better. It praises your book thoroughly.
Mhm.
Is that sometimes you call the accusers as hussies. I think
That's what should have been better.
I think you should call them fucking whores or something. But
I called them harpies, wretches, gorgons.
Oh, see, that's great.
hussies. I call them all kinds of different things, and I was running out of words, so maybe she didn't like the word hussy. But I disagree with her. I just saw who wrote that. That was Tamara Wilhite. I remember this. I did read it. I disagree with that, although she's welcome to her criticism. I disagree with it because, for one, I always write with with some humor.
yes.
That's part of my humor.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's the thing.
you know, I'm incapable of writing without injecting my sense of humor, and that is just basically what it is. And the second reason is because I don't think we should be ashamed. I believe in slut shaming to some extent. I believe that when a woman acts in a whorish way that harms others around her, that shaming is a good thing. That shame brings change to our society. It helps children stay in line. You know, there's a reason why I mom shame. There's a reason why I do it to my children, and there's a reason why I do it to my audience on YouTube, because we all need to have a sense of shame. One of the reasons why this country is off the rails is because we have lost our sense of shame. People feel no shame in doing what they are doing. And in order to properly shame someone, sometimes you need to call them names,
You
period.
need a little
It
fat shaming. That
makes
needs
a
to
little
happen.
fat shaming. Fat shaming is also, Nick Rekieta is the best at that.
Yeah, so that in that whatever podcast you saw that I don't know the real name, but the internet name is Gorlock the Destroyer,
Yes.
and they're like,
But-
I don't care, I'm a 10.
Oh,
What?
see, this is where we are without shame. This is a society with no shame.
Make shame great again.
Make shame great again.
I
Yes.
also say make anorexia great again as well.
And bullying has its merits, when we go on these anti-bully crusades and talk to our kids all about bullying. Well, to be totally honest, some bullying is part of societal control and the way that we teach others to conform, to not be weirdos. Like, quit being weird, because when you're weird and no one stops you from being weird, that's how you get Sam Brinton. That's how you get a guy who steals women's luggage and wears their underwear and ends up getting the nuclear codes, and he's posting pictures of himself leading his boyfriend around on a leash on Instagram. That's because Sam Brinton wasn't properly bullied, because it wasn't allowed.
Jeez, that story is remarkable. And then the woman being like, yeah, I'm a whatever country it was, some like Ethiopia, that kind of country, designer, and those are one-off clothes. Only one of them exists in the world, and he's wearing my dress, and I'm like, boy, you picked the wrong fucking suitcase, eh?
Yeah,
Jesus.
that's what happens when you only take designer luggage.
Oh man, that is crazy. So okay, I will let you go, but
Thanks for
this,
putting up with all the traffic noise. I
No,
really
no,
needed some
thanks
fresh
for-
air.
thanks for coming on. Like believe women, which is the most believing all women is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Amber Heard is right.
Right?
Exactly.
That's
We
why I
should
bring
know
that
better.
up. So when people go, oh no, you believe women, I'm like, oh yeah, you really believe Johnny Depp fucked her with a Maker's Mark bottle? Is that what you think? And they're like, oh well, maybe not. Well, there you go. Also, you know how you're saying your YouTube subscribers were all like wonky?
Yeah. I
YouTube
lost
won't let me get
92 of
above
them.
550.
That's weird.
Every time I get to 550, and I mean this is a
And
new
it wasn't
channel.
letting me get above 19. I was 19,001. Well, no, 19,099. And it kept on every time. I was waiting for it to hit that 19,100, but it just started going down. And now today we got above that 99. Now it's at, well, it was, hold on, let me check, because it might be different now.
Yeah,
Because it's been really weird with the losing subscribers. It's almost like it does not want me to hit that 20,000 mark, and I don't know why.
It's like
really
I
weird.
feel, and I've said this a few times, I feel like I am the digital George Floyd, and YouTube has its knee on my neck.
Knee on your neck.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm still above. I'm at 19,111 right now. So the stream with Vices helped me. People went and subscribed, but I lost like 78 subscribers in the last week and a half, which is
That's
really
weird.
bizarre. It just doesn't make sense, and I don't know what's going on. And I had to like completely change my YouTube channel. I'm just trying to avoid the censorship on YouTube, and so I'm trying something new by doing just under 5-minute videos 3 times a day for 14 days to see if I can fix the algorithm or whatever, and get past whatever this plateau is.
Yeah.
But it's so far it's just been a lot of work.
I had to stop covering COVID because I was covering straight news. Like the government of Japan reclassified COVID as from one category to another, and there just so happened to be another seasonal thing in the category that they moved it to. And so I covered straight news, not even any of my tinfoil hat stuff. They struck me. They were striking me. I got 3 strikes, including my warning, like back to back to back. I'm like, oh my God, okay, COVID's off limits for at least a little while.
Yeah, I mean, they really can put the boot on your neck. It's no joke.
Yeah.
And I don't even know why I'm getting struck. Like, I got struck for videos I made 8 months ago.
Yeah,
All
it's
of a
weird.
sudden, stuff I made 8 months ago was getting hit. And it's like, whoa. And then they had to take it back. They realized it was wrong, but they don't tell you why. So I feel
Yeah.
like I have a target on my back. There's either rogue employees at YouTube or they're just, I don't know. But I've built this channel that I now can't really use the way I want to use it.
It's tough, yeah.
So I'm live streaming on Rumble, and I'm only doing recorded videos on YouTube right now just to see how will this work. And if it doesn't work, I'll probably go back to just doing the lives on Rumble, on YouTube and Rumble until
I
they
love Rumble.
boot me off.
Sometimes I do exclusives there because right now we're on both. But when I do the Rumble exclusives, oh my God, it's like the gloves are off. It is so
I
free.
know it's really freeing when you don't have to worry about saying just even the word rape is so ridiculous that we can't even read a news story on YouTube. I'm sorry, but I'm a journalist. I can't play these games. I can't
Yeah.
make up words that aren't words. I'm not going to play that game. And if YouTube is going to, continually punish people for telling the truth, I don't think that it does any good for rape survivors either to be told that they can't say the word. And that somehow you're advertiser unfriendly for using a word of a crime that happens to women on a regular basis. I think
And when
YouTube's full of shit.
when we have to go, oh yeah, there was some SA. I'm like, really? All of a sudden we're speaking Spanish? What's that SA? It's like I don't have Jeremy Hambley's the quartering's ability to self-censor and manipulate that kind of language. Like he's a pro. But when I hear it, when I watch one of his videos, I get fucking infuriated
I
because
get infuriated too. I
because
feel like
it's like an abortion of what you're trying to say. So I don't do that so much, and I don't expect my channel to really grow because of it. But holy cow, 550, that's my limit. I seem to get there and then I lose a bunch. My followers are beautiful. I love them, but they're all a basket of deplorables. Like they have to be if they listen to me talk. And so there's no way I've said anything now that offends them where they go, well, fuck this guy. I can't be a part of that. So it's just the weirdest thing. I'll always like lose 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'll get back up to 550 and then lose. I'm like, what is this goddamn glass ceiling? I feel like a woman in the 60s.
It's happening to a lot of people. I mean, Jeff is always, it's happening to Jeff all the time. Legal Vices, he can't get past a certain number either. And it all feels very orchestrated. It feels purposeful.
It
and
does.
it's very, I don't want to, the word is not depressing. It makes you not motivated. It takes away your motivation to keep growing the channel, because if they're not going to let you get past a certain point, at some point you're like, well, fuck it. Then I guess I'm just not going to do this anymore. And I'm sure that that's what they want, but I'm not going to bang my head against a brick wall for years and years and not get anywhere. I'm just not going to do that. I have a family to take care of. And in fact, I need to go make them dinner. So I'm going to go do that.
All right. Thank you for giving me this extra time. So everyone, if everyone who is watching or who will watch, please subscribe to Megan Fox. You are at Megan Fox Writer, correct? Is that right?
That's correct. And on Rumble, I'm Megan Fox Investigates.
Investigates.
And find me on Locals, meganfox.locals.com. That's a fun place. We're doing a lot of fun stuff there.
Okay. So everyone, thank you for watching. And this time I'm going to do my outro. Last time I forgot because God, it was fucking 6 a.m. Anyways, I'm Sean. This is the Railify and my beautiful guest, Megan Fox. Thank you so much. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.